Chapter 403. Oh right, brother, this name of yours is quite cultured. During the Warring States period there was who was it again? Qin Guang slapped his forehead and suddenly had an idea. He had indeed thought of a good idea to divert his attention. Of course he knew that Lord Mengqiang was just playing dumb. Yu Mengqiang's mouth twitched and he drank a cup of tea heavily. Lord Mengqiang. My family gave me this name because they hoped that I could inherit the tradition of the ancients and do business well. Qin Guang nodded. Impressive, impressive. I heard that the Mengqiang family in Qi has 3,000 hangers-on. It became a popular story. Brother I can tell that you are a successful person with just one look. I'm so jealous. Yu Mengqiang had forgotten about the psychological trauma caused by Lu Fei's coquettish grumbling. He seemed to have returned to his previous pretentious routine. He chuckled. Lord Mengqiang does have 3,000 hangers-on, but they are all petty thieves. Those little tricks are not worth mentioning. We modern people can't do that when doing business. Very good, he was back to his pretentious routine. Qin Guang let out a long sigh of relief. Recently, because of the matter with Wang Ren and Su Lijing, he really did not want to provoke any more enemies. Yu Mengqiang, this person may be smiling and elegant now, but the more this kind of person was, the more it meant that he held a grudge in secret. Sigh, I won't come to such an occasion again, especially when there are outsiders around. I really feel uncomfortable all over. I'm not used to it. When is it going to end? The old man is here to ask for help. Why the heck is he using me as a shield? Forget it, let me think about it first. Activate auto-recovery mode. 10 minutes later, Qin Guang could barely remember what he and Yu Mengqiang talked about. Anyway, he was thinking about things related to Wang Ren and Su Lijing in his mind while he chatted with Yu Mengqiang. He also clinked glasses with Zhong Bai and the others who came up to toast him. When he finally reacted, he realized that he had unknowingly been dragged to the center of the club's private room. There was a dartboard too. 37 meters in front of him, and he was holding a dart in his hand. What kind of tone was this? He looked around and found that Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, Yu Mengqiang, and Duanwen were all looking at him with expectant or strange expressions. Qin Guang silently swallowed his saliva and let the old man carefully recall. What happened during that period of time? Why am I standing here with this thing in my hand? What did I just agree to? Ever since she started chatting with Yu Mengqiang, she felt that she had successfully led him into the gutter. She wasn't good at dealing with situations like this, so she simply went on a mental journey and activated auto-recovery mode, leaving everything to her spine. Then he seemed to talk about his hobbies. The old man's spine expressed that as an all-around superhuman who was proud of being pretentious, hobbies and the like, that was the old man's usual pretentious domain. He could not lose in pretentiousness. Yu Mengqiang knew that Lu Fei liked racing, so he briefly mentioned that he had a professional racing team. He had an ulterior motive. In order to pick up girls, he directly created a racing team. This guy was also quite hard-working. Then the old man, Lu Fei, and even Zhong Bai, who was on the side, showed little interest. The old man almost spilled the secret request that he had personally said. If he knew that he was the racing god, he would immediately kneel down. Fortunately, Lu Fei stepped on his foot to stop the car. Lu Fei tried to smooth things over. She said that underground racing and professional racing were two different things. There was no comparison. Then Yu Mengqiang changed a few ways. Finally, he mentioned that he was particularly interested in darts. He had just participated in a tournament and won the championship. How could he be embarrassed? How did I deal with him at that time? At this moment, Qin Guang was racking his brains. I seem to have bragged that I'm quite experienced in throwing darts. Coincidentally, this club really did have equipment for a professional darts tournament. Lu Fei and the others would play with it from time to time. Then, I seem to have been encouraged to make a bet with Yu Mengqiang. So I used darts to compete with him here? What did we bet on? Money? 5 million. *CK. The price of my absent-mindedness is terrible. The escrow mode is a bit of a scam. Holding the dart in his hand, cold sweat dripped from Qin Guang's temples. He turned his head and glared at Lu Fei. Sister, why didn't you stop me? How could he have imagined that Lu Fei would be shocked by his overflowing confidence? It was as if he had returned to the scene of him driving a small Rena and leaving everyone a few kilometers behind on Fengquan Mountain. What was a god? A god could do what ordinary people couldn't. When it came to racing, Qin Guang had already used his ironclad achievements to tell everyone that he was a well-deserved god that people could only look up to and worship. He was a god that they couldn't get close to or touch. Perhaps it was because they loved the house, or perhaps it was because Qin Guang's automatic recovery was too overbearing, but Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and Duanwen, who knew how miraculous Qin Guang was, never imagined that he was lying through his teeth. So the problem was, now that he had agreed to the bet of 5 million and the dart was in his hand, wouldn't it be too late to admit defeat now? What should the old man do? It wasn't much, really not much. It wasn't even a fraction of what I had in my bank account. But I used to be a thrifty young man who could split a penny into two. This was 5 million. You want me to give it away for free? Dream on. Yu Mingchang thought to himself, this guy is obviously bragging too much and is scared by my professional level performance. He's trying to bluff his way out of this. You guys definitely won't believe me, right? That was what he thought. Wait, why are these people's gazes different from what I thought? Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, Duan Wen, and a few other good young people knew that he was the god of racing. They didn't question his nonsense at all. I never thought that Brother Guang's venomous dragon dart would have such a background. Sigh, it really makes people sigh. Zhong Bai actually said it smoothly. Yu Mingchang was blind. How could you guys believe such a shameful name like the electric venomous dragon dart? Even if he was really a martial artist, who would name his signature dish like this? Are you guys stupid? You guys actually believe this kind of nonsense? Yu Mingchang felt defeated. Had the world become strange? In his impression, Zhong Bai was quite sensible. He didn't seem to have a screw loose in his head. There was no need to mention Lu Fei. 2 years ago, she was already famous among the younger generation of the Lu family. She was known as the pearl of the next generation of the Lu family. In the younger generation of Dechuan province, she was also considered a business genius. But why are you holding your chest with your fists and looking like you're a love-struck fool? This is completely different from the noble, cold, mature, and steady person you are in front of me. Of course. I said I would tell you guys about this, but it doesn't mean that I'm going back on my words today. It's a bet. Since I've already made the bet, how can I go back on my words? It's just that I can't see blood today and I have to use my secret technique. So I have to tell you guys everything from the beginning to the end. This matter, I have to start from 18 years ago, oh no, 15 years ago, on a summer night when I was 6 years old. A bunch of nonsense. In short, it was all kinds of nonsense. He made up a groundless strange old man, then made up an inexplicable hidden sect, then continuously bragged to everyone about his painstaking practice of his unique skills, training in the 9 seasons of winter and the 3 hottest days of summer. Then, from time to time, he would stuff the heavenly grail into his mouth again and again because his mouth was dry. After drinking 3 big cups of tea in a row, his bladder was about to explode, and he almost couldn't make up any more stories. Finally, the heavenly grail reacted and sucked him in with a slurp. It was said that some folk acrobats, after painstakingly training their knife-throwing skills to a certain level, would let their close companions be fixed on the target, and then throw the knife out. They would always be able to avoid their companion's body, and stab in the armpit or the gap between their legs. Through this kind of cruel and dangerous training, the knife-throwing skills of a knife-throwing artist could improve by leaps and bounds under the terrifying pressure. Of course, the danger was also extremely high. If one wasn't careful, they could lose their life. If it wasn't for the fact that they were tired of living or wanted to change wives, they wouldn't do this kind of thing. But today, Qin Guang said that this kind of training method of letting others lie on the target to throw darts or knives was simply too weak. What was really scary was that the person tied to the target was himself, and the person throwing the knife was also himself. Don't ask me how I know. Because 5 minutes after I entered the world in the cup, I came up with the name, 9 Knives Stuck in the Head. Chapter 404. At first, when he entered the world in the cup, he saw that he was holding a dart in his hand and that there was a dartboard as tall as a person in front of him. He was very happy. Then, when he saw himself tied to the dartboard, he felt that it was very cute. He thought to himself, the world in the cup in the city sure knows how to play. They purposely made a model that looked exactly like the old man and put it there for fun. Is this to increase the excitement when I bid? The old man just threw a dart first? Bayu, the dart flew out and stuck into the model's head. Ah, this is so funny. The feeling of shooting a dart and stabbing yourself is so weird. Look at how that idiot is grimacing in pain, it's so cute. Then he felt a sharp pain in his head. He touched his forehead and realized that there really was a dart stuck in it. It was in the exact same position as the model opposite him. Why is this happening? Does it mean that wherever I poke the model, my head will be stuck there too? What a scam. Don't ask me what I'm thinking, I only have one word in my mind, pain. Don't ask me why I won't die with a dart stuck in my head. Please ask the world in the cup. At this moment he finally understood. Although he didn't know the theory behind the world in the cup, but without a doubt he was the one who threw the dart and he was the one who got hit. This really wasn't to increase the excitement, it was to poke himself if he didn't practice it well. Qin Guang was sure that he was the first and last person on earth to use his own body to practice darts. But the benefits were also very obvious. He improved very quickly, so quickly that it made one's hair stand on end. After experiencing the world of piano and this world of darts, he finally understood the power of the Kirin arm. In the sea of time, although he became stronger and better at fighting, he was still within the range of a normal person. But the Kirin arm allowed his hands to surpass that of a normal person. With such a magical pair of arms as a foundation, when he practiced other skills, it would be easier for him to surpass a normal person and become the strongest person in history. The logic behind this was similar to scientific research. You had to build a good foundation in mathematics before you could conduct other scientific research. That way you would get twice the result with half the effort. Qin Guang's arms were stronger, so he could play the piano more steadily and last longer. Even the godly pencil sharpening skills or car racing skills that he had long practiced would be enhanced. Now that he had switched to throwing darts, it had the same effect. His super strength and control allowed him to form muscle memory even more smoothly and easily. The reward for completing the realm of punishment of the realm of life was just that tyrannical and useful. The strength of the Qilin arm wasn't just a simple increase in strength. It was equivalent to laying a better foundation for him to cultivate other skills. Of course, what he wanted to practice was not just his dart skills. The magical skills of the world in the cup were not something that could be mastered by winning a few championships. A product of the heavenly Holy Grail must be of the highest quality. Otherwise he would not cultivate it at all. If he wanted to cultivate it, he would have to cultivate it to the extreme. After turning himself into a hedgehog 99 times, he finally got to the point where he could hit wherever he pointed. Between the legs of the humanoid Qin Guang on the dart board, between the two balls, he was able to accurately shoot 18 darts into the gap without any damage to the skin or flesh. What was it like before he mastered it? Old Master Guang said, "Let's not bother about the details of the past. Anyway, every time I turn into a hedgehog, the darts on my body will return to zero, okay? I used to be called Double Yolk Egg. There was a period of time when I changed my name to One Egg. After I completely turned into a hedgehog, I became known as Mei Yudan. Please retreat 10 meters. The throwing distance has been increased to 5 meters. Please accurately hit the red dot on the dart board." As usual, the difficulty of the world in the cup was increased at the right time. The emotionless electronic voice of the heavenly Holy Grail sounded. "You think you can make me retreat by increasing the distance? All right." The red dot lit up an inch below the old man's penis. "You're crazy. Why are you always making life difficult for my crotch? I'll fly." "No. Asshole. GG Smita. F***CKMEY. Why did you start spinning at the slightest disagreement? My balls. Does this mean that the rotation of the dartboard is variable?" Finally, Qin Guang stood 100 meters away, his back almost touching the edge of the world in the cup. The muscles on his arms swelled as he threw a silver dart. The silver dart drew a long parabola in the air and accurately hit a strand of armpit hair between the armpits of Qin Guang's crazily spinning body, nailing it to the dartboard. In ancient times, there was Huang Zhong and Li Guang who could shoot a willow tree 100 steps away. Today there was Qin Guang who could nail a hair 100 meters away. Passed test passed. Old Master Guang heaved a sigh of relief. After today the old man had gained another godly skill. Little Chen's flying dart had never missed its target. From now on, the old man was no longer the old man of the past, but the old man who possessed long-range destructive power. Luli was really busy and didn't waste time with him in the sea of clouds. She lifted him up with a kick, and when she came back to her senses, he had just reached the last sentence of his story. "Everyone, the sect has ordered that the electric venomous dragon dart must be used, and it must see blood. But now is no longer the pugilistic world, but the golden age, so we don't need to fight and kill each other. So..." Before he finished speaking, Qin Guang's fingers trembled, and the dart suddenly flew out from his fingertips, hitting a spot half a meter above the dart board. Yu Mingchang was stunned at first, but then he burst out laughing. "Brother Qin, your dart is really accurate. You even missed the target in such a refreshing and refined manner." Zhong Bai, Lu Fei and the others were also a little confused. Why did Brother Guang suddenly shoot the dart while bragging? That accuracy was a little embarrassing. There was a confident smile on Qin Guang's face. "Zhong Bai, go and see what's nailed on my dart." Zhong Bai turned around and stretched his neck to look around. *CK. Why the hell is there a fly nailed on it? That's right. Human blood is blood. Fly blood is also blood. This is already considered to have seen blood. It doesn't violate the sect's rules. Without giving these people any time to complain about weakening his momentum, Qin Guang continued to straighten his neck and said coldly, Today the ultimate skill has been revealed and it's the first to see blood. Now I'll show you what it means to be a venomous dragon escort agency. Every dart will hit the target. Before he finished speaking, he turned around and walked to the back. He stood in the corner of the room, more than 10 meters away from the dartboard hanging on the pillar. He pointed to the front and said loudly, "I don't really understand the rules of your tournament. Brother Yu, can you help me tell you what the rules are for a high score?" Yu Mingchang was dumbfounded. The standard international competition distance is 237 meters, okay? Are you kidding me? Fine, strictly according to the rules of the tournament, pretentious players can stand further away to throw the dart. But no one would be so pretentious as to stand more than 10 meters away. Are you serious? Yu Mingchang had only participated in formal competitions and met professional players. He had never seen such an unorthodox way of doing things. Qin Guang nodded. Of course I'm serious. My skills are too good. If I compete like you, people will say that I'm a bully in the future. Yu Mingchang's character was good, but he couldn't stand being looked down upon like this. He might have started a team to attract Lu Fei, but playing darts was really his personal hobby, just like how Lu Fei liked racing. You're insulting my hobbies and humiliating my character. You don't even understand the rules, you shameless layman. If I knew you were such a person, I would never have agreed to compete with you in darts. Chapter 405. Yu Mingchang really wanted to jump out and spit at Qin Guang's head. But when he thought of the fly that was nailed to the stone pillar, he could not muster up any courage. He felt that this guy might be able to hit the dart from so far away. That's fine. According to the rules, this is the rule of 301. Whoever can reduce the score to 0 first wins. Yu Mingchang pointed at the small black bar in the 3x20 area. Right here. Before he finished his sentence, Qin Guang, who was more than 10 meters away, threw out a dart. It stuck firmly into the dart plate, not moving an inch. It was less than 5 millimeters away from Yu Mingchang's fingertips. Yu Mingchang jumped in fright, cursing his mother in his heart. That triplet of 20 points represents 60 points, right? 301 points. I have to hit 5 60-point darts first and then one 1-point dart, right? Qin Guang shrugged his shoulders. So troublesome. Can't you just go for the bullseye? Yu Mingchang could not take it anymore. What do you know? This is the rules. It is in this kind of thrilling and exciting competition where you lose with one move that darts are interesting. Qin Guang suddenly took out another 5 darts. You don't have it. How can you compete with me if I hit wherever I point? Just as he finished speaking, the remaining 5 darts were thrown out one after another. The interval between each dart was less than a second. A total of 5 darts were all squeezed into a 20-point triple zone. The distance between the darts was exactly the same, less than 0.5 millimeters. The tail fins of the darts were not touching each other at all. Instead, they were stuck inside each other. It was also a very standard posture. Only the last dart was stuck in the first zone. Why don't you let me finish explaining the rules? What Yu Mingchang found interesting was extremely boring in Qin Guang's eyes. Mr. Yu was embarrassed and aggrieved. It was as if his dreams were being trampled on, but there was nothing he could do. The 5 darts were stuck together in the tiny space of the 20-minute triple zone. Upon closer inspection, this guy seemed to have obsessive-compulsive disorder. Even the rotation of the tail wing was perfectly synchronized. What was even more disgusting was that his throwing speed was really fast. The most disgusting thing was that he was still standing so far away. I'm playing darts, what are you playing? Ultra-miniature cruise missile? Are you even human? Can we have fun? At the very least, Meng Chang, a half-pro player, had never seen anyone who could stand so far away and throw so accurately. This feeling was very much like a master of mental arithmetic who wanted to compete with someone in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of more than 10 digits, and the other party directly took out a calculator and gave the answer in 1 second. Yu Mingchang's current mood could only be described with 3 words: King dog. When he looked at the reactions of Zhong Bai and the others, he was even more confused. Hey, don't you guys think that he's very powerful and worship him? Why are you guys still so calm after he's done such a horny thing? Why is this happening? At the very least, all of you are as shocked as I am. Did I win? Qin Guang walked up and looked at Yu Mingchang with an inexperienced gaze. Actually, old Master Guang was really worried about this. He didn't know the rules of the darts tournament, and of course he didn't have any intention of learning. Anyway, he just had to hit wherever he pointed. Yu Mingchang replied in a low, muffled voice, "You won." How could he not win? You're already so accurate, but our styles are different, alright? I'm a cartoon character from Yoshihiro Fukin's manuscript, while you're a CG hero from Blizzard movies. Even when Yu Mingchang was about to transfer the money with a bitter expression, he still didn't understand what was going on today. It wasn't easy for him to get into Lu Fei's little circle. Although he didn't seem very popular, he had successfully pestered Lu Fei. Then this unknown Qin Guang was called over. Frankly speaking, Yu Mingchang knew very well why Lu Fei had called Qin Guang over. But after chatting for a while, he didn't treat Qin Guang as a true opponent. Even though Zhong Bai and the rest were very respectful to Qin Guang, Yu Mingchang wasn't an ordinary person. After chatting for a while, he saw through the lingering student aura around Qin Guang. He was still too immature and wasn't a match for him. Yu Mingchang felt that he had completely controlled the rhythm of the conversation with this love rival. Then he easily led the topic to his area of expertise, further inciting the bet. Although 5 million wasn't a huge figure to the people present, money wasn't a big deal. What was important was winning in terms of momentum. Everything was perfect until Qin Guang started throwing darts, which caused his view of the world to crumble. Brother Qin, what's your account number? Yu Mingchang was someone who was willing to admit defeat. With 5 million in front of him, Qin Guang instantly felt comfortable. He felt that he had played a pretty good role as a shield. No one would hate money, right? He was just about to give out his UBS account number when he suddenly realized that he couldn't. Now that the account number was being watched by Lu Li, wouldn't the money go into a bottomless pit if he deposited it? So Qin Guang turned to look at Lu Fei. Sister Lu Fei, what's your account number? Offering Buddha with borrowed flowers? Lu Fei revealed an overjoyed expression. Yu Mingchang wanted to vomit blood. Your Lu Fei, what is 5 million to you? Is it worth being so happy? In your dreams, my UBS account can't be used. No, it's all my bank accounts that are in danger. I just wanted you to help me keep them. Qin Guang spat. Sigh, you made this little girl happy for nothing. You're so heartless. Lu Fei's face was full of hidden bitterness. She really told Yu Mingchang her bank account number. Unexpectedly, Yu Mingchang didn't react for a long time. She urged him again, hey brother, you hurry up. Yu Mingchang was dumbfounded. He only nodded blankly when Lu Fei urged him, okay. Young man, I'm your money bag from now on. That's right, as a woman, I have to control my man's money bag. Seeing him transfer the money, Lu Fei seemed to feel that it wasn't enough. She suddenly added one last stab. Woman, her man. She finally said those words. Yu Mingchang felt his heart break. His absent-minded appearance really made one sigh in pity. He didn't understand what was wrong with this world. In the past, when he pursued Lu Fei, although she never relented, it was never like today, where she directly pulled out another man to block in front of her. He wanted to ask Lu Fei why, but in the end he didn't dare to. He really didn't want to hear more sad words. After that, he didn't have the mood to pester Lu Fei anymore. He found an opportunity to call Zhong Bai out. He really wanted to know what kind of god this Qin Guang was. Zhong Bai didn't tell him the truth. He only said that he wasn't very clear about Qin Guang's background. They only met each other when they were racing outside. They felt that they hit it off and had a good relationship. Sister Lu Fei seemed to like him very much. If he asked again, he wouldn't know. Yu Mingchang wanted to vomit blood. He felt that he lost inexplicably. He couldn't accept it. Chapter 406. On the other hand, Qin Guang saw that Mingchang had left and could not help but ask, how much hatred do you have for this person? You're really ruthless. Although I like to take advantage of you, I think he's not bad. He's a good match for you. Aren't you going to consider him? Lu Fei curled her lips. I have to like him just because he's a good match? Don't talk nonsense. Am I such a shallow person? Then this young lady's love is too cheap. Besides, it's because he's a good match that I have to keep my distance from him. I haven't had enough fun with him. That's right. If I end up in an improper relationship with such a person, I can't just abandon him. Something's not right. *CK. I seem to have realized something. Realize your ass. I've never done it with you before. It's not like I'll get pregnant just by touching you. You're right. I have nothing to say. Qin Guang was in tears. Of course. In my current criteria for choosing a partner, Qin Guang, you're really ranked first. What's your criteria for choosing a partner? Qin Guang asked. Lu Fei chuckled. Just one word. Handsome. Oh, then there's no other way. Can only be the old man. You can't run away in this lifetime. I can lose in anything but handsome and righteous. Qin Guang nodded in agreement. Although I really want to beat you up, there was a time when you were the most handsome person in the world in my heart. I really hope that you can be as handsome as you are in the car. Lu Fei turned around. Her eyes were misty. No. I'm usually handsome too. Not only am I handsome when driving, but I'm handsome when I'm eating. I'm also handsome when I'm squatting in the toilet. Today he finally got an idea from Lu Fei. Actually, Lu Fei's idea was not that profound. Since there was no way to launch a public prosecution, he would go the route of public opinion. He would first cause a ruckus on the internet. When the matter reached a certain level, he would pull out 1 or 2 victims and launch a lawsuit in the name of the victims. In fact, Lu Fei had planned to use her own connections to help Qin Guang with this matter, but Qin Guang firmly disagreed. Business was business. Su Lijing was not a soft persimmon that could be kneaded at will. Asking her for help would only make things difficult for her. Sometimes, when one's power reached a certain level, a businessman could not easily offend them no matter how much money they had. Of course, Lu Fei's idea was only an idea when there was no other way. Weibo was said to be useful, and there would often be some real or fake news on it, causing some debates about what was wrong with the world. However, everyone knew that things in this world were not as free as they seemed on the surface. Of course, Lu Fei's idea was only an idea when there was no other way. Weibo was said to be a useful thing. There would often be some real or fake news on it, causing some debates about what was wrong with the world. But everyone knew that things in this world were not as free as they seemed. After the party, because he was drunk, he could not drive. So, Qin Guang simply left his car in the club and took a taxi with Lu Fei to her house. It was a 3-story villa located between the first and second rings of the city. It was much more domineering than Tang Ying's mansion. With the current housing prices, large villas in this location were generally not sold by square meters, but by buildings. If you did not have 20 million yuan, don't greet the developers, they would not have time for you. Obviously, Lu Fei was also used to living alone. The big house was empty with no one else. Try to make your almighty Superman ID even more popular. When it's about time, write a long article while it's hot and post it in one go. Even if it's quickly blocked or banned, it doesn't matter. At the very least, it's enough to create a certain impact. Then you can make use of the fact that you're banned to make a fuss. Throw money, that's right, throw money to hire a water army to spread the news a second and third time. Launch wave after wave of propaganda to make people pay attention to this matter. After that, you can drag all the victims out and make the other party tired of dealing with them. With Su Lijing's personality, if Wuxian can really make him careless, he might think that since the news can no longer be suppressed, he might as well go along with the public prosecution. As long as he can make some fuss during the trial and exonerate Wang Rin, he will be able to take drastic measures and turn all of your attacks into nothingness. In other words, if what you said is not true, then in the end, you will be shooting yourself in the foot. But if everything you said is true, as long as you can push the matter to the court by hook or by crook, and with Wuxian to uphold justice, it will be foolproof. But I don't know any professional water army. I have money, but I can't find a place to spend it. Qin Guang shook his head. Lu Fei chuckled. I know. My family is in the chemical industry, so we always have long-term cooperation with water armies. It's easy. To be honest, in front of someone who is determined to protect the environment, is it really a man to say such things? When I took the environmental exam, it was really heartbreaking. I watched the documentary Kokushili, Nature Now, The Mountains and Rivers Now. Save it for me. Aren't I helping you? Alright, let's do it this way. First, show the enemy that we are weak, launch a little offensive, and lure Su Lijing to eliminate the impact. Then, throw money at him with a tidal wave of propaganda to make him tired, so that he can only place his hopes on tampering with the trial. Finally, you play all your cards in one go. As for the money for the water army, use the 5 million you left with me. I'll help you find people, and I promise I'll do it for you. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. I won't get myself into trouble. Ruffy drew a conclusion to the matter. Immediately, the two of them began to discuss the matter in Lu Fei's room, hyping up the Weibo account of Almighty Superman. How could there not be a piano in a 3-story villa? As a result, in Lu Fei's eyes, Qin Guang had another cool moment when he played the piano. Almighty Superman posted on Weibo again. The second piano video was fresh out. He once again challenged the world's top 10 difficult songs. And he played while watching a TV series. After watching the TV series, he even sang a song. Although his singing was terrible. He played Franz Liszt's Will-O-Wisp, and sang He Schwa Schwa. In short, this video had to be as heaven-defying as ever. When Qin Guang released the second video, it instantly dispelled all the doubts about Qin Guang's omnipotent superhuman status. There were people who chased after him, and of course there were people who questioned him. The skeptics believed that he did not really perform successfully in one go, but after many attempts he recorded all the perfect performances in the same place, and then combined them into one video. At present, this view had become the mainstream of the opposition, because what he did was simply unrealistic in the eyes of the piano world. However, this video of him playing Will-O-Wisp and singing He Schwa 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 made everyone speechless, because it was even more unrealistic. Yes, many artists could play and sing by themselves, but what they played and sang was the same song. What the hell does your Will-O-Wisp and He Schwa 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 have to do with each other? Aren't you afraid of schizophrenia? Speaking of which, why is the sound of your piano still as accurate as a machine? Emotionally, he was still holding back. At this moment, these people still did not know that this video was just the beginning of the frenzy that Almighty Superman was about to set off. In the next 3 days, they would witness the gradual rise of a living miracle. Chapter 407. By the time he was done, it was already 1 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, Lu Fei's villa had good soundproofing, and the nearby villas were far enough away. Otherwise, with Chen Guang's performance of some of the 10 most difficult songs in the middle of the night, people would have come knocking. Then Lu Fei took out the darts that she had hidden in the storeroom and had not touched since she bought them. Chen Guang performed a few stunts. Darts, flat eyebrows, darts, those were all small cases. After filming, he felt that it was a little boring. After all, he was indoors. No matter how accurate his shots were, it did not seem cool enough. Wait a minute, there's another box. Lu Fei took out a second box and there were 12 darts inside. Chen Guang took a deep breath. It seems that it's time to show my real skills. As soon as he finished speaking, he threw out his right hand and 24 darts flew out from his palm, straight at the wall. The darts were nailed to the wall, and the 24 darts lined up to form a complete character. Cool. What do you think? Cool, right? Chen Guang said proudly. Lu Fei nodded. It's all right. I heard that the latex paint on the wall is quite expensive. It will probably cost a few thousand to repair the wall. I'll deduct it from your 5 million first. It took about half an hour to record the darts video. Since the wall was already a tragedy, Chen Guang simply performed all kinds of fancy moves on it. Throwing 24 darts at once was a piece of cake. Stringing 24 darts into a line was also a piece of cake. Then he used a pen to draw a zigzag line on the wall, and instantly shot all the darts and nailed them to the line. There were 2 darts at the head and tail, and the distance between them remained the same. In short, the two of them were pondering how to throw darts in a way that others couldn't. To put it bluntly, it was a shameless show-off. You're really thick-skinned for the name, Superman. Lu Fei ridiculed Chen Guang as she gave Chen Guang a name for the video. If I say I'm omnipotent, then I'm omnipotent. Unadulterated, unambiguous. Every dart will hit. Fancy darts take you flying. He uploaded the video to the internet. Chen Guang smiled. That's for sure. I'm an internet celebrity with real skills. I'm not someone who relies on glib talk. What's your purpose in making this thing? Make money? I don't think you need to rely on this to make money. The mysteries of heaven cannot be revealed. Then, Chen Guang sat in front of the computer and smiled as he watched his Weibo popularity skyrocket. Posting 2 videos at once was the first time an omnipotent Superman had done something like this. He had only said one thing: I want to be famous, I want to attract your attention. His goal was so clear that even some low-profile countrymen felt that he was being too arrogant and criticized him. Even so, the 2 videos still swept across the internet. Even though it was already late at night, the late-night slot still had an audience and was still popular. Brother Almighty has finally been revived. I'm back as a fan. My name is Piano Grade 10. I swear on my honor that this guy wearing a mask is not a human. He is a god. Brother Almighty's singing is so good, it's great. Love you. The girl above who said that Brother Almighty's singing is good, are you sure you're not deaf? I don't care. Anyway, Brother Almighty is the most handsome. Hello everyone, please be rational and follow your idols. I'm a professor at a music school. This guy is just sensationalizing. There was definitely another set of radio systems. He's just playing with the opponent. That professor, get lost. Have you ever seen an opponent with such a high sound picture synchronization rate? I've slowed down Brother Almighty's video 100 times to check, but I couldn't find any problems, okay? A well-known young pianist with a verified username also started reposting this Weibo post. At first, I was woken up from my bed by my wife to watch the video. I refused. After all, I'm a professional and I've also held concerts before. I can't just get up and watch it just because you asked me to. Then I got beaten up by my wife. Now that I've watched it, I'm on my knees. People who aren't professional pianists really don't understand what this means. I can responsibly tell you that after I've done the comparison and verified that he really played the song himself, I'll offer my knees to him. About half an hour later, the big verified pianist replied with just one sentence. God, please accept my 29-year-old knees. The first professional stood up and offered his knees, and it quickly caused a chain reaction. More and more professionals who slept late were spread by word of mouth. In short, everyone get up and look at the god. It was the middle of the night, but on the internet, the video turned into a boiling torrent and swept across the internet. The crazed popularity of the second piano video had even completely overwhelmed the popularity of the darts video that he had released immediately after. But it didn't matter as long as his popularity skyrocketed. An hour later, Qin Guang's fan count officially crossed the 5 million mark, and he was advancing towards his next goal. Looking at the time, it was almost 2 a.m. Withdrawing his gaze from the computer screen, Qin Guang stretched and looked back at Lu Fei while licking his saliva. It's a bit late. Sleep? Let's do something that only adults like to do? Lu Fei smiled charmingly. What? Do you want to eat me? Yes, I'm hungry. Sure, if you're hungry, I'll give you some fresh and spicy duck blood curd. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't play tricks, be sincere. Today is the first day of my period. Didn't I go to the toilet just now? I just got here. Can I say some dirty words? No. Then go to sleep. I'm going to play a few games to calm down. Qin Guang didn't plan to leave the villa the next day. Before Lu Fei left, she glared at him fiercely. I'm going out to earn a lot of money. You better behave yourself at home. How dare you use my villa to pick up girls? When you come back, I'll eat you up. Alright, take care. Sister Lu Fei is the best to me. Living in her room, eating her food, and sleeping in her bed, Qin Guang was at ease and didn't give her money. His reason was very good. If you live in such a big house by yourself, is it worthy of the few hundred square meters of land that you occupy? Such a big bed doesn't let me warm my bed. Alright, he didn't enter Lu Fei's bedroom even though she didn't lock the door. Lu Fei could be said to have seen through Qin Guang. He didn't have the guts to do it, and his words were flowery but his hands were weak. Did he really want this old lady to push him down? It seemed like his willpower wasn't very firm. Before leaving, Lu Fei complained about her relationship with Qin Guang. As a result, Lu Fei's special machine for rubbing dogs was occupied by him. The reason was simple and sufficient. Knife Pig wanted to become a god of 10,000 points. At present, he had already achieved the achievement of the number 1 god of 10,000 points in the national server. There were still 3 more stars waiting for him. Would Knife Pig be beaten up for being so arrogant at home? Even after being beaten up, Qin Guang still managed to occupy the machine. Currently, his ID in the Southeast Asian server had been accurately guaranteed by Lioli to reach 8,000 points. The rest of the journey was up to him. Other than that, Lu Fei and Zhong Bai also helped him contact a TV station, Sichuan Province Literature Channel 2. On the day after tomorrow, he was going to host a live piano performance that didn't require tickets, didn't have any publicity, and had an ugly venue. His goal was clear. If people didn't believe him when he posted a video, then he could do a live broadcast, right? You guys have to believe it, right? The day after tomorrow, the world's best piano player will meet you. You don't have to pay for tickets. See you there. He spent a total of 2 million. 5 million was used to rent the venue, and another 500,000 was used to send a red packet to the person in charge of the literature channel. He also gave Zhong Bai some face, and that was it. For the tree god statue to become popular as soon as possible, and to become the world's best piano player in a few days, this money was well spent. Why didn't he dare to call himself a master? Because he only knew how to play according to the music. He didn't expect that he would receive an unexpected surprise. After settling the matter of the live broadcast, Zhong Bai, who was in charge of helping Qin Guang with this matter, suddenly called. Brother Guang, I have a good idea. Do what? It's just that the live broadcast doesn't seem very exciting. Young people don't like to watch TV anymore. Aren't live broadcasts quite popular recently? I have a friend who is doing a live broadcast platform. Not bad, it's Little Kong. He started a bamboo live broadcast. It's a new site and needs popularity. He said he can help you put up a cover recommendation and he wants the live broadcast rights. Not paying for the live broadcast? I heard that those live broadcasts earn tens of millions of yuan per minute? Yes. How much? The last time he drank milk tea with me, he helped me pay for it. The money for a cup of milk tea was sold to Little Tsong's bamboo live broadcast for Qin Guang's first piano performance. Chapter 408. Before he started matching, Qin Guang took a look. His Weibo fans had increased to 5,500,000 in one night, and it was still rising. After the first wave of the peak last night, the night owls went to bed the next day and normal people resumed their rhythm. A new round of reposts appeared without any preparation. The discussion about the authenticity of the piano video came to an end, and all that was left was worship of the knee and meniscus. In addition, the second dart video that he had accumulated last night finally began to show its strength. In the last half of the video, in order to verify his identity, he sharpened the pencil again. This time, he sharpened a piano on the pencil head. In addition, he also took a picture of the computer screen to verify that the number one player on the national server who still could not be surpassed was himself. Even though the piano was elegant, not everyone could understand it. Ordinary people's perception of piano performance stopped at a very simple level of good or bad. They could not understand the amazing skills hidden under the performer's performance, especially the 10 most difficult songs. Frankly speaking, they were not very good songs. The difficulty was far greater than the degree of pleasing to the ear. Most of the difficult songs were used by performers to practice finger techniques, so how good could they be? Therefore, after the first wave of peak, even if the industry had generally recognized the unparalleled piano skills of Almighty Superman, the influence on the internet gradually cooled down. At this time, the benefits of throwing darts were revealed. Simple and straightforward, everyone could do it. Even if they had not played darts before, they would have at least thrown stones since they were young, right? Even throwing stones had to be said to be accurate or not, right? Therefore, Qin Guang let people understand what the fancy dart technique was. In the middle, Lu Fei interrupted with an explanation. Everyone look. This is our family's Almighty Superman's unique and unparalleled skill. Electric Poison Dragon Dart. Of course, Lu Fei's words were cut in the end. The name of the move was too shameful and would affect the glorious image of Almighty Superman. Qin Guang was not worried about being recognized by Yu Mengchang. What he performed in the clubhouse were all small skills, and the level in this video was not at the same level. In short, the dart video took over the baton of the piano video, pushing his Almighty Superman's popularity in the direction of higher. Qin Guang estimated that with the current progress, he would be able to rush to 6 million fans by night. But this was not enough. He began to use Weibo to broadcast the process of him becoming the number one player on the Southeast Asian server. The method was simple. Every time he finished a game, he would post a victory screenshot. His ranking on the ladder was rising and he could not stop. He did not even know how to write the word lose. Halfway through, Lu Fei contacted a ghostwriter company when she was free during the day and displayed her professionalism, adding another layer of fire to Qin Guang's path to becoming an internet celebrity. During this period, Qin Guang was shocked by the sudden increase in his popularity when he browsed Weibo. It was only when he saw the private messages that he realized that it was a show of strength by the fake reviewers. After using the key skills of pencil sharpening, piano, and darts, his popularity in the Dota circle also gradually increased. The previous Cheba Guru was a joke, and now he made it a reality. At this time, he was going to make it a reality on another international server during his live broadcast. The previous Cheba Guru was a joke, and now he made it a reality. At this time, he was going to make it a reality on another international server during his live broadcast. Making the joke no longer a joke, coupled with the mysterious aura of this mysterious Cheba Guru, suddenly one day he jumped out on Weibo and live-streamed the process of him gaining points. Only then did many fans realize that the Almighty Superman was actually the Cheba Guru. Cheba and forum naturally exploded. More and more Dota enthusiasts responded to his call. But his Weibo's momentum was not over yet. After Little Tsong and Zhong Bai came to an agreement, after half a day of intensive preparation, they started a new round of publicity. Qin Guang did not need to spend money on this side of the publicity. Little Tsong, who did not lack money and whose friends were not as rich as him, paid his own money to promote his live broadcast website. He even borrowed the popularity of the Almighty Superman Qin Guang to form a win-win situation. Little Tsong's publicity strategy is very simple. Tomorrow, our platform will work together with Dachuan Province's Arts Channel to broadcast live the live performance of the strongest all-rounder in history, the godly piano-playing master whose piano skills are off the charts, the all-rounder Superman. Within the same day, the promotion of the piano video, darts video, the live broadcast of him gaining points, and the live broadcast of the bamboo live broadcast. Today was the day to witness a miracle. By the time Lu Fei came back at night, he had already fought 15 rounds on his way to gaining points. His celestial stairway points went from 8,000 to 8,375. He was about to reach the top. The celestial stairway points were a small matter. At this time, the total number of Qin Guang's Weibo fans had exceeded 7 million. From the time he uploaded the video last night until now, in less than a day, the number of fans had increased to 2 million, and they were all living people. 7 million living fans. In the entire Weibo world, he was at least in the top 50 internet celebrities. But it was not over yet. A hot topic on Weibo went from brewing to exploding and then gradually declining. It took at least 2 to 3 days. The promotion of the Bamboo Live broadcast only started near night time. Tomorrow his Weibo fans would continue to increase. After Lu Fei came back, he contacted the person in charge of the Internet Water Army. They agreed that after Qin Guang finished his piano performance tomorrow night, while his popularity was rising unstoppably, he would immediately publish a long article to launch a fierce offensive against Wang Ren and Su Lijing. At 6 o'clock the next day, Qin Guang had already rushed to around 8,800 points on the Southeast Asian server. His total number of fans had exceeded 8 million. Throwing down the mouse in his hand, he went out to drive the phaeton that Lu Fei had sent someone to pick up and went straight to the Wujing City Arts Center. He originally thought that there would be no one. After all, he had not done any advance publicity. He did not expect to see a sea of people when he arrived. Zhong Bai came out and quietly welcomed him in. Why are there so many people? It's only been a day and 2 million can create such a strong publicity effect? Qin Guang asked. Zhong Bai chuckled. We didn't spend any money, but someone else did. It's little Chong. You know, rich and willful. To be honest, I regret it. F***ck, if I had known earlier, how much would I have lost? Save it. You're not a celebrity. You don't have to wear a mask. Aren't so many people here because they don't need to pay for the tickets? Zhong Bai had seen through his little scheme in one go. Isn't it because I'm famous on Weibo? Are these people here because I'm a celebrity? Although I'm not a celebrity, I'm a celebrity. Being famous is one thing, but asking for money and not asking for money are two different things. Brother Guang, don't worry about this. Don't you just want to be famous? Look at what you're saying. I'm really unhappy. How can I be such a shallow person? Huh? Isn't that so? At this moment, Qin Guang still did not know that his phaeton had disappeared from school for 2 days, and was finally found by Wang Ren's assistant, Guang Tu Chao. Brother Chao, why is this place so crowded? It's not easy to make a move. One of the underlings asked. Guang Tu Chao snorted. It's fine. Anyway, the car is here. We're not in a hurry. Guang Tu Chao had brought 17 to 18 people with him. He had planned to find a time when there were fewer people to block the car, but he did not expect there to be a sea of people here. Guang Tu Chao pondered for a moment. Don't care about anything else. Anyway, we'll keep a close eye on the car. It seems like some celebrity is having a concert. Qin Guang must be here to watch the show. He'll come out sooner or later. This time he had brought 17 to 18 people. Most of them were super fighters from his own company. 3 of them were retired soldiers. Other than that, there were 2 people that he had hired with a lot of money. They were fighters that had won competitions in the underground boxing world. They were all tough people and none of them were easy to deal with. Guang Tu Chao felt that he had a strong army, but he still wanted to be safe. Everyone brought their weapons. He had heard from Wang Ren that Qin Guang was pretty good at fighting, but there had to be a limit, right? I don't believe that you can handle this lineup of mine. Immediately, this big boss who wanted to climb up Wang Ren's social ladder had already called Wang Ren to ask for credit. Brother Wang, we've blocked that kid's car. He's really something here at the Wujing Arts Center. He actually came to watch some piano performance. When Wang Ren hung up the call, he chuckled to the worried Su Lijing and replied, Uncle, you're worrying for nothing. How can Qin Guang do anything? He's still watching the concert at this moment. You're just scaring yourself. Who are you? Where did he get the guts to do anything to you? Why don't you believe me when I tell you? Qin Guang really isn't some second-generation celebrity. He's just a poor student. I've already searched through his information in school. Su Lijing ignored him. He thought to himself, if the grandson of a big boss wants to live incognito in school, of course he would have to fake an identity. How could a junior like you see through it? But no matter what, because of this call from Guang Tu Chao, Wang Ren and Su Lijing had indeed let their guard down. They thought that Qin Guang really didn't take it seriously. Su Lijing thought to himself, perhaps Qin Guang's original goal was to get me to revoke the punishment for Zhuo Jingxi and the others. Who would have thought that a kid of such status was actually a romantic? When Lu Fei arrived, it was about 6:30. There was still a full hour before the piano performance began, but the crowd outside was already so big that it was almost impossible to stand. A normal celebrity's concert would not be able to reach this level of popularity. For such a situation to occur, the word free was indeed a big reason. Of course, it was also because of the popularity of the almighty Superman on Weibo. Coupled with the free publicity provided by Xiao Tsung, in just one day, the internet was flooded with publicity for this event. It was said that Xiao Tsung had sold 2 to 3 million yuan in one day. If this was not popular, the heavens would not tolerate it. Chapter 409. Hey, in my opinion, we're still too hasty. The whole orchestra should cooperate. Brother Guang, you're the only one playing the piano the whole time. I always feel that it's a bit too much. Wang Qing stuffed a big chicken leg into his mouth while muttering with grease all over his mouth. Ever since this kid was discharged from the hospital, he's become a lot fatter than before. What do you know? With me playing the piano, there's no orchestra at all. You're not really planning to play alone for 2 hours, are you? Zhong Bai, who was standing at the side, was shocked. Actually, I did call a few underground rock bands in advance. They were waiting for you to take a break to warm up the stage. Huh? Are there girls in the band you found? At this moment, Qin Guang was in a dilemma. He intended to play for 2 hours by himself so that he could display his awesomeness and convince everyone. However, Zhong Bai had already called him over, so it would be a little unfair if he didn't let him perform. Oh, then tell them not to go on stage. They can be the audience worshipping God. Qin Guang expressed that this brother was just so honest. Aren't you afraid of being beaten for saying such words in front of Sister Lu Fei? Zhong Bai laughed. Lu Fei kicked Zhong Bai. Shut up. You like to stir up trouble. Normal artists had to make all kinds of preparations before going on stage to perform. For example, it was said that Richard Clayderman, a master pianist, would lock himself in his room and meditate for a long time before going on stage to adjust his condition, striving to give the audience the best possible state every time he performed. But Qin Guang, the best pianist in history, said that the old man doesn't need this. Anyway, no matter how good or bad his state is, it's the same tune. My state is no state. Sister Shuiwei and I are sitting in front of the TV waiting to watch your live broadcast. I really didn't expect you to play the piano. Your Weibo has been going crazy these past few days. Next time we have a concert, you'll be our accompaniment. Just as Qin Guang was eating, he received a text message from Jiang Yage. At present, only Zhong Bai and Lu Fei knew the details of Qin Guang's Weibo account, as well as Sun Xiaoxuan and Jin Shuiwei, who were the first to follow Qin Guang's Weibo account. Perhaps Uncle Cheng, who was far away in Hong Kong, also knew the details, but he wouldn't care about it. Sun Xiaoxuan also sent a text message. Qin Guang, where did you learn to play the piano? I want to learn too. Qin Guang replied decisively, my master said that it's only passed down to males and not females, because this piano technique is too overbearing. You can't wear clothes when learning it. Even wearing socks will affect your level and you won't be able to learn it. Sun Xiaoxuan replied with a blushing emoji. She actually believed it. These people's text messages and phone calls did not cause any trouble to Qin Guang. Only Bai Fan, this trickster, called Qin Guang first and only said, Brother Guang, check WeChat. He opened WeChat and saw that Bai Nyangzi had sent a video message. In the video he was kneeling on the ground, crying with snot and tears, Brother Guang, help me. My book failed. It fell to shit. I've been running around naked since I uploaded it. It's been a month and a half. The new book period has passed. The editor doesn't even give a mosquito a leg. Brother Guang, you have to save me. I beg you. I'm begging you. Although I don't know how you managed to create such a concert, I think it's really popular. Could you please help me advertise my new book and help me advertise it a little? Even if it's just reading the title of my book once. The Billionaire Young Master's Venomous Doting Wife, Please Love Me 1001 Times. As your brother, I haven't begged you once in 3 years. This time I'm really begging you. This video was watched by Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and the others. Everyone expressed that their waists were hurt. Brother Guang, your classmate is too funny. Birds of a feather flock together. Brother Guang, you're surrounded by weirdos. To be fair, we don't look like normal people either. That's true, let's not call the pot calling the kettle black. But this Bai Fan's book title is too weird. Qin Guang rolled his dead fish eyes. He really didn't know what to say. Bai Nyangzi added another voice message. When he opened it, he wailed hoarsely, I'm begging you. I'm watching your live broadcast. I don't care, I'm hanging on a rope now. If I don't hear the title of my book after you're done, I'll die in front of you. This will expose my Weibo identity. I don't care. I'm not listening, I'm not listening, I'm not listening. If you don't help me, we'll be brothers again in our next lives. I won't let you off even if I become ghosts. This guy was quite a moral blackmail. Zhong Bai and the others had a stomachache from the conversation between these two. They were really too stupid. Until Bai Nyangzi sent another short message. You can pretend to interact with a live audience member on stage and then let that person read out the title of my book. Qin Guang looked up and glanced at the crowd. Zhong Bai and Lu Fei were the most disrespectful. Zhong Bai, help me out. Save my life. Zhong Bai couldn't laugh anymore. Why me? Qin Guang chuckled. Only you and Sister Lu Fei are laughing the most. If it's not you, then it's Sister Lu Fei? Besides, I sold my live broadcast rights for a cup of milk tea. Brother Zhong Bai, it's not too much for you to sacrifice a little, right? F***CK. You mean I'm going to be the most pitiful shill in history? Something like that. Since we've known each other for a while, you have to help me. At 7:15 p.m. the art center, which could accommodate 5,000 people, was already full. There were even more people crowding outside, unable to enter. Even 10,000 was considered a small number. Fortunately, the square outside the art center was big enough and there was a big screen. Many people who came late and couldn't get in, or fans or onlookers, left. In short, there were a lot of people. At least there was a place to watch the big screen. Hiding behind the scenes, Qin Guang's heart was bleeding. He was doing the math. There were 5,000 people in total. If he charged at least 50 for each ticket, he would lose 250,000. Actually, this was bullshit. To rent this place, he cut the queue at the last minute. He spent 1.5 million first. He didn't earn a single cent from the live broadcast rights, and he lost another 500,000. Live broadcast rights? Forget about Zhong Bai's cup of milk tea. My heart hurts. Such a heavy loss. It's equivalent to 100 million after rounding it up. With such a great god wasted, let's not talk about how popular he would be. If he couldn't build a piano god statue, it would be a huge loss. I seem to vaguely remember something. Less than 10 days ago, a certain god threatened me to build 2 statues within a month. Otherwise, I would have to go into the cup world when I take a dump. The pencil god statue has already been set up, right? If I build the piano god statue today, won't I complete the task ahead of time? Damn, how can I be so quick-witted? No, if I don't succeed today, I'll die. I have to get rid of the fear of becoming the king of anus. Zhong Bai. Qin Guang suddenly roared. Behind him, Zhong Bai, who was painstakingly memorizing the long book title, was startled. What? Live broadcast rights are only available in China, right? Do you have overseas broadcast rights? Have you sold it? Qin Guang said anxiously. Not yet. You're in such a hurry. How can you have the time? Although he didn't know why Qin Guang was suddenly so anxious, Zhong Bai's voice had unknowingly risen. Quick, help me think of a way. Overseas broadcast rights must be available too. I don't need money. Oh no, I can even pay for it. Qin Guang roared louder and louder. Only 15 minutes left. Where do you expect me to find it? Tang Xiaokai. 10 minutes later, his international friend, comrade Tang Xiaokai, had settled the matter of the piano performance being broadcasted on overseas YouTube. With a nouveau riche stepping in, the efficiency was indeed different. He didn't spend any more money. In fact, after the previous pencil sharpening video, the omnipotent Superman's Weibo account was already very famous on YouTube. If it weren't for his popularity at home and abroad, Qin Guang wouldn't have been able to erect a 100-foot pencil statue. The racing documentary that followed was also crazily sought after by foreign racing enthusiasts. It was just that the auto statue had already taken shape. Even if they increased the publicity, the power of faith was already fixed. After that, the 2 piano videos that he released also received quite a lot of reposts. After a period of accumulation of popularity, the debate about this piano master that fell from the sky also continued to spread overseas. It was just that Qin Guang himself didn't know about it. Now, they heard that this god was actually going to open a live performance, and it was even a piano performance without any broadcasting fees. This news was personally made by the head of a famous investment company, the famous Chinese tycoon Tang Xiaokai. It was definitely not fake. The senior management of YouTube only considered for 30 seconds before decisively accepting the live broadcast. It was guaranteed to go straight to the front page. Of course, unlike Xiaotsung's Bamboo live broadcast, YouTube was second to none overseas. They didn't need to compete with others for popularity. They just needed to broadcast it straight to the front page and it would be enough to attract attention. Done. Zhong Bai gave an okay gesture to Chen Guang, who was putting on his mask and preparing to go on stage. The much-anticipated, omnipotent Superman's piano performance was about to begin. Chen Guang, Zhong Bai, and the others didn't really know how many viewers there would be for a performance that was done in a hurry. Anyway, they didn't expect to earn any money. They just wanted to make him more famous. A deputy director of Wujing City's Arts Channel 2 was sitting in his office, feeling a little uneasy. At this time today he should have already gotten off work. But today's situation was a little special. He didn't dare to leave. He wanted to stay in his office and finish watching the live broadcast. He was under quite a bit of pressure to suddenly disrupt the broadcasting schedule of the entire station and forcefully interrupt a live broadcast of a piano performance. But the other party was Huangxiang Corporation, a big client of the entire Dechuan television station. The benefits they gave were not small. 500,000 yuan wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small amount either. Besides that, it was perfectly justifiable for the arts channel to broadcast a piano performance. Moreover, it was just an arts channel with extremely low ratings. It was even a Channel 2 program. It wasn't a big deal to play a little tricks. But no matter what, he still didn't feel confident. At least they couldn't fall below the usual ratings, right? This deputy director, who wasn't young, wasn't very clear about the ups and downs on the internet. He just thought that it was a rich young master from Zhong Bai's circle who wanted to have some fun. This was a common occurrence. Otherwise, how would their arts channel 2, which had such low ratings, give out benefits? Didn't they rely on these rich young masters to do something from time to time? Or perhaps these rich young masters wanted to have some fun, or they were just helping to promote a small celebrity. Even if it was a variety show that no one watched, it was still a program. Young girls who were in a rush to become famous would fall for this. The reason why this deputy director felt nervous was because Zhong Bai's appetite was too big. He asked for 2 hours of his time right off the bat. He couldn't help but feel nervous. Chapter 410. On the other hand, Bamboo Live had already released the live broadcast of the Arts Center's performance hall on the internet. Online live broadcasts were not as formal as live broadcasts on TV. Streaming signals in advance also helped to increase popularity before the performance officially began. With Xiao Tsong's publicity, she managed to gain quite a bit of popularity. Even before Qin Guang's performance started, the Bamboo Arts channel, which was responsible for the live broadcast, already had a popularity of 500,000. At this moment, it was ranked second among all the Bamboo Arts channels. Ranked first was the superstar JJ, who set foot in the live broadcast industry for the first time. The number of viewers was as high as 1 million. Coincidentally, JJ's live broadcast was Dota. Qin Guang's loss to him was not undeserved. At the same time, YouTube, which was far away overseas, had also reached an agreement with Little Kong. Both parties shared a set of streaming signals, which was considered a mutual cooperation between the two companies. Because YouTube did not have any advance promotion, even if it was posted on the homepage, the number of viewers did not exceed 100,000. Sister Lu Fei, what do you think Brother Guang is planning with this show? Zhong Bai could not help but ask when he saw Qin Guang sitting in front of the piano in a tuxedo and wearing AV special agent mask, ready to start working. Lu Fei thought about it. She couldn't tell him about this. There must be a reason, but I can't tell you. In short, after today's matter is settled, you have to get yourself out of this mess. If anyone asks you, you don't know anything. Zhong Bai's eyelids twitched and he had a bad feeling. Something big is going to happen? Lu Fei nodded. It must be something big. I'm afraid some places in our Dechuan province are going to change. *CK. Just because of a disagreement he dragged me into this. Zhong Bai's face was full of tears. Don't be nervous. We're not small characters. This is his business. We're just helping him out as friends. He doesn't have the guts to burn all of our heads. After all, we're not vegetarians, right? Lu Fei saw through it. It's also because he didn't agree to let me dive in. Otherwise, I really want to use some of my family's connections to help him. Lu Fei spoke in a secretive manner, causing Zhong Bai's heart to itch uncontrollably. Wang Qing, who knew some inside information, smiled but did not say anything. He could only watch Zhong Bai scratch his ears and cheeks in satisfaction. On the other side, Qin Guang pressed his hands on the piano and finally began to play. Everyone couldn't help but look forward to how he was going to survive the 2-hour concert all by himself. 2 hours later, the global piano world was in an uproar. In these 2 hours, too many unforeseen events had occurred. When the first song was played, Qin Guang did not challenge the difficult song. Instead, he chose the first song that he had learned after transforming into 1900. He didn't play a difficult song, but instead, he played with the beauty of art. It was quite pleasant to listen to. The people who were watching and listening to the live broadcast in front of their televisions and computers also felt that it was normal. But the moment the first piece ended, he didn't stop and switched to one of the 10 great difficult pieces. Just like before, it conformed to the norm. But this wasn't a soothing song that anyone could play. It was a difficult song that was easy to make mistakes. After a difficult song, he didn't stop, nor did he switch to a soothing song. Instead, he continued to challenge difficult songs. In addition, he actually played the piano while using his phone to scroll through Weibo. He read out the comments of the audience under his Weibo, but the sound of the piano was not messed up at all. If there were people who doubted whether he had finished the performance in one go when he posted the video on the internet before, then this time with the live broadcast on TV and the internet, no one could doubt the authenticity of it. Just as Chen Guang said at the beginning, he chose to broadcast this performance so that people would come to see a god. Once the audience was convinced in their hearts that he was not fake, those who really understood the piano began to spread the news again. Within the Sichuan province, those who received the Wujing Literature Channel 2 would watch it on TV. Those in other provinces or abroad would watch the live broadcast on Bamboo or YouTube. As more and more people watched, the publicity of the live broadcast also spread more and more. Perhaps those who were not true music lovers would feel that the difficult songs he played were not very pleasant to listen to, but those who knew the music would understand that they had seen a living god. Chen Guang played like this while promoting his Weibo account. The number of fans started from 8 million, and in these 2 hours, it shot up again. The deputy director of the Literature Channel 2 was dumbfounded when he saw the viewership ratings that were about to break the record. I thought this was a rich second generation playing around, but I didn't expect it to be a treasure. Little Tsong looked at the number of viewers in the number 1 Bamboo live broadcast channel and smiled. On the YouTube side, the number of viewers had already exceeded 5 million. Countless international friends' bullet screen comments had already exploded, and there was no lack of famous piano masters among them. Russia's national treasure pianist, Bogoryarjevsky said, "I have never seen anyone who can play Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3 with such ease. I'm even starting to doubt life." Italy's national treasure pianist, Pavarentsev said, "There was once an Asian pianist who amazed me, but now this Asian makes me want to kneel down." The world-renowned Polish master, Richter, let his grandson publish an article on his personal website. "In my long life of 100 years, this is the first time I've seen and heard someone who can play Paganini's Etude without missing a single note. This is not flawless in the broad sense but perfect in the narrow sense. This person has the most perfect talent bestowed by the Creator." At first, there were people who used a sarcastic tone to say that Chen Guang was playing to the gallery. On the surface, it was a piano, but in the dark, it was very likely that he was playing a recording. But when one master after another stood up and used a tone of amazement to say that they had seen the miracle of life, no one dared to question the authenticity of this performance anymore. Finally, when Chen Guang hit the last note, he took a big gulp of water, felt the tremors coming from the sea of clouds of the heavenly Holy Grail, and was pulled into it. He saw a huge piano statue rising from the sea of clouds, standing side by side with the pencil and the alto car. His heart felt at ease. Hard work pays off. The third statue was in his hands. When he returned to the outside world, he looked at Weibo again. The number of fans he had was just over 10 million. He smiled until his eyes were squinted. 10 million living fans. Weibo claimed that there were billions of registered users. Of course, this was nonsense. Excluding a few accounts registered by one person, and excluding most of the zombie fans, the real live users were at most 1 or 200 million. Chen Guang's Weibo was different from other celebrity accounts with tens of millions of followers. The millions of fans here were all living people. This meant that out of the 1 or 200 million real users on Weibo, 1 out of every 10 people was his fan. There were a total of 1.5 billion people in Wuxia, and 1 out of every 150 people was his fan. In addition, those who didn't know him or didn't pay attention to him would inevitably hear the name of this almighty Superman from other people's mouths. From now on, even if he farted and made a sound, he could record it with his phone and post it on Weibo. At the very least, tens of millions of people would hear this heavenly sound immediately. A top internet celebrity was just that domineering. This time, the piano statue had come so easily precisely because of this comprehensive publicity method. With such a super internet celebrity account in hand, it would be much easier for him to promote other godly skills and erect statues in the future. Big profits with a small capital. Chen Guang grinned. But this wasn't enough. I want to walk the path of the strongest internet celebrity. I want to make this Weibo so strong that when I practice any skill in the future, I can post it on the spot and erect a statue on the spot. That would be awesome. In the future, he had to make his words and videos become irrefutable golden rules. Lu Fei hid in the backstage, watching Qin Guang's back as he closed his eyes to rest, the stars in her eyes almost shooting out. Admittedly, when she first got to know Qin Guang, it was only because she was infatuated with his excellent driving skills and his act of saving Zhongbai that made him seem like a very loyal person. But the more she interacted with him, the more she saw how amazing he was. At this moment, Lu Fei finally understood that his driving skills were only one of his countless abilities. Lu Fei didn't need to say anything about the Dota, but she had also seen the video of Qin Guang sharpening pencils and asked him for a rose. The day before yesterday, this guy had used the electric poison dragon dart. Although the name was a little embarrassing, it was really dazzling. Today's hastily organized piano performance also dazzled Lu Fei. Although she wasn't a veteran music fan, and perhaps she was a little drowsy like many of the audience, the crazed hype on the internet couldn't be faked. The comments given by countless foreign masters at that time couldn't be faked. Lu Fei couldn't help but think to herself, how many more secrets does this guy have? Is there anything he doesn't know? He seems to be signaling me with his eyes? Lu Fei was stunned. Qin Guang was anxious, staring at her and mouthing to her. Lu Fei took a while to react, then pushed Zhongbai beside her. Quick. I'm calling you. Go. Can I not go? I'm really panicking. At least he's wearing a mask, but I don't. Zhongbai was a little unwilling. But in the end he still went. He braced himself and rushed out from the backstage, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hands. He ran to Qin Guang and stuffed the bouquet into Qin Guang's hands, shouting, "All around Superman. Oh my God. I'm your most loyal fan in my past life, this life and the next." Readers who like to read online literature, please click on Billionaire Young Master's Poisonous Spoiled Wife. Please love me 1001 times. *CK. Can you be any more blunt than forcefully inserting a soft advertisement? You're using too much force to turn the corner. So King shameful. Run. Qin Guang stood up, took the microphone and said, "Everyone remember my Weibo name, All Around Superman. Tonight, please follow my Weibo account, there's going to be a big announcement." Immediately after, he left Zhongbai and ran backstage, pulling Lu Fei along. "Let's go." He didn't explain much to her. Anyway, his goal for today had been achieved. The rest of the mess would be left to Zhongbai, who had a confused look on his face to deal with. Wang Qing and the others were also loyal. They chuckled and ran away with Qin Guang and Lu Fei. Zhongbai couldn't react to the situation at all. When he went backstage, it was empty. On the other side, the staff from the TV station and Bamboo Live had already rushed over. Brother Zhong. Brother Zhong. You must introduce us to all-around brother. We'll be relying on him in the future. There must be something going on between the two of you. Zhongbai was furious. What the *CK? I don't know him either. I was *King forced to do this. He already knew that Qin Guang had buried a big pit. At this time he definitely couldn't fall headfirst into it. Just as Lu Fei said, he planned to go abroad for the next few days to lie low. Anyway, he wouldn't care even if the sky fell down. If anyone asked him, they would only say that they were also this all-around Superman's fan. But this was a godly person who wore a mask everywhere he went. He had no way of knowing his real identity. Chapter 411. Regardless of how pitiful it was for Zhongbai to be left behind, Qin Guang, Lu Fei, and the rest had already snuck away. They were intending to celebrate. After changing clothes with him, the group headed to the parking lot. On the way, Lu Fei could not help but ask, other than racing, sharpening pencils, throwing darts and hitting the sword tower, what other skills do you have? Can you tell me everything in one go? Qin Guang thought for a moment. I do have a very awesome skill, but it's a bit hard to tell. Lu Fei looked at him blankly. What? Qin Guang moved closer to Lu Fei's ear. Let me tell you. My greatest skill is not what you see. Look at my hand, do you see it? Do you see the terrifying vibration? Yes, that's right. This is the legendary overclocking vibration. It's more powerful than any vibrating machine you've ever seen. It's even more effective. You know how powerful it is. Lu Fei blushed and spat at him. You can't be serious. The few of them entered the parking lot. Wang Qing's car was parked on the other side, while Qin Guangza and Lu Fei headed in the direction of the phaeton. Just as the two of them approached the parking lot, A large group of people suddenly rushed out from behind the phaeton and firmly surrounded the two of them. Qin Guang was startled. No way. He had hidden so well, yet the groupies recognized him? From today onwards, the old man would have to bid farewell to his proudest days of acting cool? Something was not right. These people did not look like groupies. Most people would not hold a metal rod in their hands when they chased after their idols. They were offering flowers, but these tough guys were offering steel rods? This posture was so special. Qin Guang. Let's see where you can hide now. Grandpa has been looking for you for days. Chao Guang too had his hands on his hips, standing proudly in front of the crowd. He had put in a lot of effort to find Qin Guang. Qin Guang was stunned for a moment, then shielded Lu Fei behind him. You know me? Chao Guang too raised an eyebrow. Why would I look for you if I don't know you? Did Wang Ren send you? Qin Guang asked again. You don't need to know about that. Anyway, just bear with it for today and prepare to lie in the hospital for a month or two. You'd better cooperate. Otherwise, my friends might not be able to control themselves well. As Chao Guangtu spoke, he retreated. The people he brought with him gradually pressed forward. Lu Fei, on the other hand, was unfazed. Looks like you're still too slow. Look at how straightforward he is. He who strikes first has the advantage. Qin Guang did not panic in the slightest in the face of the people that Chao Guotu had brought. The others are different from me. I don't have a government official father. Lu Fei covered her mouth and laughed. How can we say that? Chao Guangtu was extremely puzzled. How could this man and woman not be nervous at all when surrounded by so many people? Could it be that he was scared silly? There are so many people here. Why don't we reason with them first and wait for Wang Qing to bring his men over? As Lu Fei spoke, she stretched her neck to look at the other side of the parking lot. As expected, Wang Qing, Duan Wen, and the others had already noticed that something was wrong and were rushing over. Qin Guang shook his head and licked his lips. No need, my hands are itching. In the beginning, Wang Qing was furious when he saw Qin Guang and Lu Fei being surrounded. After all, the friends of Wang Guxiong's son were surrounded right under their noses. This was akin to slapping the face of the Wang family. However, 30 seconds later, Wang Qing's anger was gone. All that was left was pity and sympathy. He had no idea how Qin Guang did it. From what he could remember, he had never seen anyone who could take down so many people with weapons in such a short period of time. Even his uncle, the most powerful bodyguard in his family, who was said to have killed more than 10 soldiers on the battlefield, couldn't do it. Before Wang Qing and the others could get close, Chao Guangtu and the large group of people he brought were all howling miserably on the ground. Qin Guang did not know how much he should hit them. In short, he just used the sticks in their hands to hit them until they couldn't move. Looking at the pitiful scene on the ground, the others could only think of one word. Pitiful. It was undeniably pitiful. The first person swung his stick at Qin Guang, but the stick in his hand was snatched away. This person was close to 2 meters tall and had a huge build. However, Qin Guang snatched his weapon away as if he was snatching a lollipop from a child's hand. Then he hit the person's head with the stick. Duong, duong, duong. That was about it. The other party was obviously a gang of menacing people, but they were all taken care of by Qin Guang like he was playing whack-a-mole. What's the situation now? Wang Qing walked over anxiously. He could not help but think back to the first time he met Qin Guang. Fortunately, Zhongbai had fallen into the river and everyone had restrained themselves. Otherwise, if they had really fought, the scene would have been terrifying. Qin Guang shrugged. Isn't it obvious? Someone found a gang to beat me up and send me to the hospital. That's it. In the end, Qin Guang and Lu Fei left first, while Wang Qing and the others stayed behind. Since Chao Guangtu was a gang member, it was Wang Qing's duty to run into him. Chao Guangtu had seen Wang Qing before and knew that he was Wang Guxiong's son. Unfortunately, it was too late by the time he recognized him. He really did not know whether to laugh or cry at this incident. Although Chao Guangtu was not a member of the Wang family, his boss, Mr. Yin IV, and Wang Guxiong were sworn brothers. Today he admitted defeat and was extremely unlucky. He originally planned to beat someone up to please Wang Ren, but he did not think that the situation was so troublesome that it was not something he could understand. The poor student that Wang Ren mentioned was in cahoots with Wang Guxiong's son. He had been tricked by Wang Ren. After returning to Lu Fei's house, Qin Guang began to prepare to release the news. The first long article had already been prepared. The title was The Devil Hiding in the Ivory Tower. It described the many things that Wang Ren had done in the past few years when he was the head of the Academic Affairs Department at Jinhuan Academy. The core part of the article was Ding Lu's matter, clearly explaining the ins and outs of the matter. A white-collared beauty who should have been enjoying her life now chose to end her life before she could step out of the ivory tower. Why was that? Who did it? What methods did they use? Who forced her step by step into a dead end? Of course, cheating was shameful. But how many people dared to guarantee that their university life was pure? Who hadn't been stupid once when they were young? Ding Lu didn't even cheat herself. She only let others take a look at her paper. Wang Ren used his power to force her step by step. He threatened her step by step. He even used drugs to humiliate her. At every turning point in her life she met the wrong person and did the wrong things to her. Her boyfriend was also very shameful. Her family was also very heartless. But no matter how many mistakes the people who came after her did, Wang Ren, who used drugs to obtain her, was the first person who planted the seeds of evil. Now Ding Lu's remains had turned into dust. What was the devil Wang Ren doing? 3 months ago he was still acting like a tyrant in Jinhuan Academy. He used his usual methods to force the young and beautiful but talented new counselor to submit. When his plot failed, he was abandoned by the teachers and students, and he was kicked out of Jinhuan Academy. However, he didn't receive the punishment he deserved. Instead, he became the manager of the School of Chemical Industry. He moved to another place and lived a better life. He used another method to continue to corrupt the beautiful campus of Gokyo University in another academy. Ding Lu's soul was crying silently. Who could stop Wang Ren from using his dirty hands to stain the holy land of scholars? Shouldn't this kind of person go to hell? At the end of this long post, Qin Guang attached 2 photos. One was the late Ding Lu. At this time she had just entered the campus. She showed a bright smile in front of Hua Ling's mobile phone. Although she wasn't so beautiful that people would be stunned by her beauty, she showed the cuteness and innocence of a girl next door. The other photo was taken from the video recorded by Lin Jingwei. It showed the ugly and ferocious side of Wang Ren when he was angry. Not only that, under the same Weibo post Qin Guang attached a recording. It was the recording extracted from Ding Lu's mobile phone. Ding Lu's heart-wrenching scream, Wang Ren's lawless shouting, the sound of scuffles and collisions, all of these could ignite the adrenaline of everyone who saw this long post and heard this recording. That night, Qin Guang didn't sleep for the whole night. He also didn't know how long his Weibo post would last, but the longer it lasted, the more people would see it. At this time, the number of his fans had already exceeded 10 million. Although it was already midnight when this Weibo post was posted, there were still countless people who clicked on it immediately. At first, some people were still complaining, saying that Almighty Superman had finally become serious, but now he had fallen and was going to become a public figure again. But this time was different. This time the target of his attack was too clear. The matter was written too clearly, and Ding Lu's story was too painful. When the seniors and juniors who had been in Jianhuan Academy for the past few years commented and replied on Weibo, they either spoke for themselves or vouched for the Almighty Superman. They said that the Weibo post written by Almighty Superman was true, and after they said it with certainty, no one dared to call Almighty Superman public knowledge anymore. Instead, it was reposted one after another and comments after comments. In a place like a school which was supposed to educate people, there was actually such a level of corruption. How infuriating was that? Overnight, Wang Ren's name was known by the whole world. Lu Fei had already fallen asleep. Qin Guang sat in front of the computer in the living room. He had already turned off the lights. In the dark night, only his cold face could be seen, hidden in the dark like a snake. Finally, when this Weibo post had been reposted more than 200,000 times and had more than 400,000 comments, the official Weibo block came late. Almighty Superman, who had tens of millions of fans, this super online celebrity account that didn't add any accounts, was instantly cleared. It was like an island on the sea that was hit hard by the huge waves brought by the howling wind. The huge waves retreated, but the island was completely flattened. From the sea there was nothing. Who knew how many silent complaints were hidden under the water? Chapter 412. Frankly speaking, when Qin Guang saw that the account was instantly blocked, he was quite reluctant. But he didn't regret it, which meant that Su Lijing had fallen into the trap. A few kilometers away, Su Lijing was wearing pajamas, angrily pacing back and forth in his room, making phone calls one after another. He was woken up by his secretary in the middle of the night, and then he saw this long Weibo post that he didn't want to see. If everything written in this long post was fabricated out of thin air, he wouldn't have the slightest panic or anger, but it was all true. The style of the long post was familiar, and it must have been written by Qin Guang. He then recalled what Wang Ren said yesterday evening. Yes, Qin Guang must have gone to see the live performance of Almighty Superman. He knew that Qin Guang had a way to contact Almighty Superman, but at that time the influence of this Weibo post was not as far as it was now. At that time, Almighty Superman only posted a sentence that seemed stupid to others, but only Su Lijing understood it. Tonight, Almighty Superman held a concert at the Wujing Art Center, and his reputation soared. Su Lijing also learned from Wang Ren that Qin Guang also went to the art center tonight. It was obvious that this impetuous young man had finally made a move. Su Lijing felt a little relieved but also a little panicked. Qin Guang's actions seemed fierce, but it also told him that it wasn't the higher-ups who wanted to make a move on him. He had been in this system for more than 30 years, and he knew too well what would happen if the higher-ups really wanted to deal with him. He wouldn't have any chance to react at all, and he would be quietly taken away. To the outside world, maybe Su Lijing was promoted, sent out to do research, or changed to some research institute to do research work. He would be instantly stripped of all his power, but it wouldn't cause any waves in the eyes of the public. Qin Guang doing such a thing was not in line with the usual style of the higher-ups, because it was a move that hurt both sides. Whether he succeeded or not, it would cause another public interrogation of credibility. Therefore, whether or not Qin Guang was really the descendant of a big shot, he must have done this on his own. Did he think that he would be able to touch Wang Ren just because he found an internet celebrity to spread the news? Su Lijing only sneered in response. How naive, childish, and stupid. Is this what you're relying on? I only need to move a finger to turn this internet celebrity into ashes in an instant. I've tolerated you so many times only because I'm afraid of the elders behind you. But since this isn't an instruction from your elders and it's just your own actions, there's naturally no need for me to be too afraid. Although I, Su Lijing, am not some great figure, I'm still not someone that a junior like you can bully as you please. You're breaking the rules. As an elder, it is reasonable for me to punish you. Early the next morning, Su Li gave himself a tight slap after his phone call with Wu Shan. He was tired of guessing, so he decided to get straight to the point. He asked Wu Shan directly if Qin Guang was the descendant of that powerful figure who had gone into seclusion behind the scenes. Unexpectedly, after Wu Shan heard him ask this question, he insisted that Qin Guang really had nothing to do with the people in Yanjing. Now that things had become like this, Su Lijing thought that Wu Shan had no reason to lie to him, unless Wu Shan really wanted to become enemies with him. But Su Lijing didn't think that Wu Shan was that kind of person. This didn't meet the standards of people like him. He once again valued Wang Ren's opinion. Early the next morning he began to talk to some of the people in Jinhuan Academy. When Qin Guang's former tutor, Teacher Xin, came out of Su Lijing's office, the vice principal finally confirmed that he had been wrong about Qin Guang's identity. Qin Guang was not the descendant of a big shot. He was really just the son of a small rich family in Lilai County of Dechuan Province. Even last year, his small rich family couldn't be saved and became a completely impoverished family. Su Lijing, you are really scaring yourself. Sharon was right, the older you get, the more timid you become. How embarrassing. Rubbing the sandalwood prayer beads in his hand, Su Lijing's eyes flashed with a terrifying light. He remembered the phone conversation he had with Wu Shan. Because of Wu Tong, I did help him a lot before, but since he didn't know what was good for him and insisted on not letting him go, then as an elder, I can't do anything about it. It's not that I don't take care of the younger generation, it's just that he insisted on breaking the rules. Elder Su, thank you for informing me in advance. From now on, I won't interfere with Qin Guang's affairs anymore. Good. Thank you. Since he had already gotten Wu Shan's promise, and he had killed Qin Guang's biggest support, a mere internet celebrity, Su Lijing had no more worries. He only ordered that next semester he didn't want to see Qin Guang in school anymore. Apart from that, Su Lijing also talked to someone in the prefecture-level municipal committee, which was directly above Lilai County. Since the court had ordered the Qin family's hot pot restaurant to compensate for the medical expenses of the food poisoning victims, it had already been in arrears for more than a year. It was time for a trial. He couldn't allow people to take advantage of the loopholes of the law and hide their assets under their relatives' names to avoid paying compensation. Not only that, Su Lijing also talked to a subordinate of Wu Shan and asked that person to help keep an eye on Qin Guang, and use all means within the system to cause trouble for Qin Guang. I'll fire you first, then track down your family, then I'll do whatever I want, and I'll be able to create layers of waves that will slowly crush you to death on the beach. From today onward, as long as it's within my means, there won't be a single inch of space for you, Qin Guang, to hide. I have to let you know that there are some hidden rules in this world that a student like you can't challenge. After making these arrangements, Su Lijing felt a little better. He sat in his office and hung up the phone with an indifferent smile on his face. He couldn't help but feel a little funny. He actually became serious because of a student. He hoped that after a few years, this young and impulsive boy would understand what he had done wrong. On the other side, Qin Guang woke up. He was not in a hurry to let the Internet Water Army launch a second wave of attacks. Instead, he locked himself in Lu Fei's house and revised the long article over and over again. This long article followed the previous one and took out another piece of real evidence. The family of the boy who died after being beaten into a vegetative state had been quietly brought to Wujing by Old Han. There seemed to be some accidents on Guoming's side. The nurse who now lived in a coastal city was not willing to stand up and testify against Wang Ren. The unforgettable hatred would eventually be washed away by time. Burying the hatred and living a good life in the future could also be regarded as a kind of attitude towards life. Of course, the root cause of the nurse's choice to retreat was still her fear of Su Lijing. In the past she had also fought back, but her ending was not much better than Ding Lu's. Fortunately, she had the courage to leave the 5 capitals and all the people and things she was familiar with. She also found a home in Denghai who was willing to understand and pity her. She did not want to risk her current life for the pain of the past. In the face of the nurse's choice, Guoming was helpless. He was not in the position to persuade others to fight with him. If Wang Ren could bring out Wu Shan, who was hiding in the dark, he might be able to persuade the nurse's family, but now was not the time. At this time, the Weibo account of Almighty Superman disappeared from the internet, which did indeed cause a lot of waves. Many people, as usual, got up early in the morning, ate breakfast and went to work at the company. At noon, they took advantage of the break to open Weibo to see if there were any new jokes and find some new fun. There were also many viewers who watched the live broadcast last night and knew that Almighty Superman was going to release big news at night. They went to bed early last night and watched it at noon. As a result, these people suddenly found that there was no Almighty Superman in their follow list. Some people found out about the change through other people's questioning Weibo. It was not pushed by the Internet Water Army, but many diehard fans saved a screenshot last night. Later they found out that Almighty Superman had been banned, so they simply sorted out the matter and forwarded it to the internet, questioning the Weibo officials' actions. Although Weibo had been continuously banning Weibo that discussed the matter, no matter how strict the defense was, it was impossible to cover everything. This matter did not reach the peak of the influence on the internet until noon the next day. In general, this time Almighty Superman's public awareness disease was acting up again. Although the evidence was conclusive, it seemed that he had provoked the wrong person, so he was directly banned by the Weibo official. In fact, this was not the first time this happened. Before Qin Guang, who knew how many internet celebrities had encountered a similar fate. Perhaps there were some who were more popular than him, but there were also some who were less influential than him. The Weibo official always had this kind of strategy of being questioned by people, but constantly pulling out new hot topics to divert people's attention. Again and again people's voices disappeared into thin air. You can say what you want to say here, and you can also find the air you want to breathe freely here. You think you are wandering in an unrestrained ocean. But you don't know that in your eyes, the ocean is just because you are too small. This is just a pond that can be drained at any time. Others let you swim in it just because of your existence and the sewage that you burst out of the bubble. It is not enough to change the color of the pond water to be noticed. Once you try to break through the pond or pull out the plug that is hidden in the bottom of the water, you will be uprooted by an invisible big hand, leaving no trace. Even if you used to be popular on the internet, people's memory has always been the most unreliable thing. If you want to be a happy little internet celebrity, don't touch the red line of reality, and live well in the illusion. According to the original plan, that night, Qin Guang should contact the Internet Water Army Company to launch a second wave of attack, but there was a slight accident. At this time he was taken to the Wujing City Jiangyuan branch. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon he received a call from the Traffic Control Bureau, reminding him that the newly purchased Phaeton license plate had been made, and to change the temporary license plate as soon as possible. Qin Guang did not suspect anything. Anyway, he had nothing to do in the afternoon, so he drove out alone, and then something happened. Chapter 413. When he arrived at the place he was detained for 2 reasons. First, his previous experience of running a business for the internet company was investigated. A thick stack of papers was slapped in front of him. He was suspected of illegal operation. Second, he illegally modified the car and replaced the Phaeton logo with the Passat logo, which was a serious crime. The first crime was planned long ago and the second one was improvised. Qin Guang looked at the scene and knew that he had fallen into a trap. Su Lijing's counterattack was unusually fierce and caught people off guard, but it was also within Qin Guang's expectations. It was just that Qin Guang didn't know where he would cut in and what kind of means he would use. Now he knew. Fortunately, they didn't accuse him of being a prostitute and asking him to jump off a building. Perhaps it was because of Wu Shan's reputation. Even though Wu Shan had cleared his name, Su Lijing didn't really want to kill himself. Wu Tong was only Wu Shan's daughter now. Who knew if Wu Tong would become the next Wu Shan in 10 or 20 years? After all, Wu Tong had just joined the workforce for less than a year, and she was already the deputy director of the Wenqing branch. If Wu Shan didn't fall, who knew what Wu Tong's future limit would be? Of course, Su Lijing had to punish Qin Guang. It might make him feel disgusted, but it wouldn't kill him. This was also the balance between Su Lijing and Wu Shan. At least that was what Su Lijing thought. Therefore, it was good to start with the internet company. The evidence was conclusive and there was no quibbling, but it wouldn't hurt Wu Shan too much. The matter of running the net was quite funny. Changing one's orders was a common occurrence. At first, when the industry came out, the publicity said that it effectively solved the problem of people in big cities who couldn't get a taxi or go out. It was a new industry that deserved to be promoted and encouraged. In addition, the internet company spared no effort in advertising and subsidies. Many people who had a car or a driver's license plunged into it. Suddenly, one day the internet company became bigger and bigger and its stock price soared. However, the drivers found that they had become illegal. Inexplicably, they were arrested by the transport management for illegal operation, and the driver was detained. The internet company became bigger and bigger, and followed the call for energy saving and emission reduction. However, the drivers were legal today and illegal tomorrow. No one could explain the reason behind this, nor could they figure it out. However, there was nothing they could do about it. It was not uncommon for people of the same trade to be arrested and their cars detained. Gradually, the drivers understood that they were doing a business that might or might not be legal under the organization of a legal company. There was only a fine line between breaking the law and obeying the law. Before they were caught, they were not breaking the law, but after they were caught, they were breaking the law. Logically speaking, Qin Guang wasn't caught in the act when he was driving a sports car. Now that he's no longer online, this matter shouldn't have anything to do with him. However, Su Lijing could casually order someone to pull out all of his bills from the branch offices in the 5 capitals. This was more conclusive evidence than catching him in the act. As for changing the car logo, it was also a gray area. Not to mention that he had changed the car logo from a Phaeton to a Passat. Only Zhong Bo and Wang Qing's group of people had changed the entire Mitsubishi EVO into another car. From the color to the car model and even the car logo, it had been completely changed. Perhaps only the frame inside was still the original Mitsubishi EVO. Was this kind of modification illegal? Of course it was illegal. However, other people would still interrogate it every year or they would not interrogate it at all. As long as no one was killed or if it was not leaked, it would not be a problem. Qin Guang was far inferior compared to Su Tao, but he was also only in between investigating and not investigating. If they really found out, it did not seem wrong to say that he was breaking the law. On the other side, Su Lijing received the news as soon as Qin Guang was arrested. The other side asked Su Lijing if he wanted to teach this kid a lesson. Su Lijing hesitated a little. You can punish him a little, but be careful not to make him disabled. After the person had agreed with Su Lijing, he turned around and wrote the matter on a piece of paper and asked someone to bring it to Wu Shan's office. After Wu Shan read it, he added a line of words on the same piece of paper. Kid, do you want to be tough on yourself? This piece of paper circulated for more than half an hour, and it was in front of Qin Guang. Qin Guang looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and the expressionless police officers beside him. He understood that they were all on his side. Su Lijing had underestimated him. How could Wu Shan's men be Su Lijing's confidants? This middle-aged bureau chief was a double agent. After reading the note, Qin Guang gritted his teeth and nodded. Do it. About half an hour later, Qin Guang was lying in the detention room with his teeth clenched. His heart was filled with all kinds of thoughts. F***ck, no one could use the trick of injuring themselves to gain the confidence of others. What was more infuriating was that the bureau chief's cold-faced police officer, who claimed to be an expert in interrogation, was not good enough. That man had a bad start. In the end, the frightening injuries all over his body as well as his bruised and swollen face were mostly caused by himself. The situation was like this. The cold-faced police officer hesitated. Kid, bear with it. I have a lot of experience. I can guarantee that it will only be superficial injuries. Qin Guang was also hesitating. You really don't need to tie my hands? Sai, how can we do that? We are on the same side. The cold-faced police officer then punched Qin Guang's face. After that, the police officer entered the hospital. Qin Guang did not do it on purpose. Although he kept reminding himself that he must bear with it and not make a move. No, make a move. But when this man's fist was getting closer and closer to his face, he could not bear with it. His arm was right on target. The feeling was unbelievably sour. This experienced man flew up and hit the wall on his butt. He could not move and all his internal organs were displaced. Qin Guang was ashamed. Brother, I really did not do it on purpose. I just reacted instinctively. I told you to tie me up. It was useless. This man had already fainted. In this world, the only one who could hurt the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail was himself. What did it feel like to hit his own face with his own fist? This matter could not be discussed in detail because it would only make him cry. According to Qin Guang's original plan, at 7 o'clock in the evening, the Internet Water Army Company would spread the things he had prepared on the Internet. Countless jokes about Wang Ren, evidence of Wang Ren's corruption in the School of Chemical Engineering, account books, voice recordings, copies of checks, bank transfer records, Ding Lu's semen-stained underwear, voice recordings, suicide note, the surveillance video of the boy who was beaten into a vegetative state. Except for the evidence of the nurse, which was temporarily hidden without the consent of the person involved, all the other evidence would be ruthlessly thrown out. Smash him to the ground. Smash his head to the ground. Such a propaganda campaign would continue for at least 3 days so that the Weibo official could not delete it and the truth could not be hidden anymore. The most professional Internet Water Army, the most advanced technology, and the investment regardless of the cost, would exhaust the Weibo official and place these bloody facts in front of everyone. Even if Su Lijing's power was overwhelming, even if his words carried enormous weight, he would not be able to stop it. That's because everything that Qin Guang said was the truth. His facts could withstand the beating and the test, and he was not short of money. He did not believe that in a modern society where the internet was so advanced, someone could really cover up the truth with one hand. People in the past couldn't do it because they didn't work hard enough, because they didn't spend enough money. First, he would use 2 million to create an almighty Superman. Then he would use 3 million to create the first round of Internet Water Army. If Su Lijing could really withstand it, Lu Fei, Zhong Bai, and the rest, although they would not join in on the surface, had nothing but money. He could borrow Qin Guang's money, but if he was forced to the brink of insanity, even if he had to infuriate Liuli, even if he angered Liuli to the point of turning into the king of anal prolapse, he would still be willing to spend 170 million yen. I dare to use more than 100 million to slander you. Until you don't even dare to take it. When the time was right, Old Han would bring the victim's family to come forward and testify, and at the same time, launch the last wave of propaganda, and then use the alias of the nurse. Perhaps without the nurse's confirmation, the power of this big move would be reduced, but it was almost enough to start the prosecution. But at 6:30 in the evening, things suddenly changed. The Jiangyuan district branch chief looked at the phone on his desk that kept ringing, and then looked at the name of the caller ID, and his whole person was not good. Jiang Yage. Was this Jiang Yage? Or was it a coincidence that they had the same name? What should he do now? If it was really Jiang Yage who was in his hands, what was her intention of calling Qin Guang at this time? Did she know Qin Guang? What was her relationship with Qin Guang? This poor chief was not particularly clear about Jiang Yage's background, but he who had been directly responsible for the security of Jin and Zhang's concert in Wujing City, knew very well that this seemingly actress, who seemed to be a singer, actress, had a terrifying background. This call, should I answer it or not? If I answer it, what should I say? Chapter 4:14. Just as he was hesitating, the phone suddenly stopped ringing. The bureau chief was in a dilemma again. Should I call back? His hesitation did not last more than 5 minutes. His personal phone rang first. The bureau chief had a total of 3 mobile phones. One was specially used to contact his family, one was used to contact his subordinates at work, and the last one was used 24 hours a day to contact his boss and some people that he absolutely could not ignore. The phone that rang at this time was the one that he could not ignore. It showed an unfamiliar number, but at this special time, it was self-evident who was calling. After the call was connected, the person on the other side of the phone chatted briefly. However, the bureau chief hung up the phone in fear and looked out of the window with a blank face. In the depths of his heart, he was confused, hollow, and perplexed. What was wrong with this world? The person who called just now was the top leader of Dechuan province. Although they were both in the same system, the difference in status between the two was too big. A mere bureau chief of the Jiangyuan district was not qualified to save the number of the top leader. The other party's intention was obvious. The moment he opened his mouth, he asked if he had detained a student named Qin Guang in the bureau. At this point, how could the bureau chief dare to lie? He could only honestly admit it. After that, the most powerful person in Sichuan province only said, "From now on, protect the person well, and don't let anything unpleasant happen again." He would immediately bring Wu Shan with him. If anything happens to Qin Guang, the responsibility is all on you. The bureau chief of the Jiangyuan district did not understand what was going on. It was obviously just a game between Wu Shan and Su Lijing. Wu Shan had already explained the specific arrangements to him. Qin Guang was also very cooperative. Even the young man performed the bitter flesh countdown with great effort. He was really a good young man with a heart of justice. But why would Jiang Yage get involved? Why would Jiang Yage so decisively contact the influential figure in Sichuan province after failing to get through on the phone? In fact, Wu Shan himself was also at a loss. When he received the call, he also did not know what had happened. However, the tone of the colleague on the other side of the phone was very anxious, as if he was more worried about Qin Guang's safety than himself. Wu Shan couldn't help but think of Su Lijing's conjecture that he had once mocked. Could it be that Qin Guang was really that old man's grandson? But that was impossible. For a child raised by that kind of family, whether he hid his identity or not, it was impossible for him to be willing to take the initiative to get involved in a storm like dealing with Su Lijing. Even if he really wanted to deal with someone, he would not do it himself. Instead, he would have other means. There was no need for him to do something that was taboo and made people nervous. "Secretary Ma, what's going on?" Wu Shan asked as they sat in the same car. Ma, who was nearly 60 years old, shook his head. "Don't ask me. I don't know what's going on either. I just got the news. Someone from above told me to go to the Jiangyuan district branch immediately and personally investigate the matter regarding the student named Qin Guang. I'm afraid something big is going to happen," Secretary Ma said and pointed to the roof of the car. For him and Wu Shan, it was self-evident that he could continue to use the two words above. Wu Shan gasped. "Could it be that that student is?" Secretary Ma shook his head. "Don't let your imagination run wild. He is not the old man's descendant. In short, we have to figure out the problem. We can't let him be wronged." It was like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. However, the situation was too sudden, and the tone of the person who gave the order seemed to be very anxious, so he had no choice but to pay attention to it. He put down what he was doing and rushed here overnight. On the way, his secretary called. "Secretary Ma, something happened on the internet." "What's the matter? Make it short. Do you think the trivial things on the internet are worth telling me?" Secretary Ma frowned. At this time, he was not in the mood to care about the rumors on the internet. He couldn't help but feel unhappy. Someone has spread a lot of groundless rumors on the internet. They are related to the vice president of Gokyo University, Su Lijing. The situation is serious and it has caused a lot of repercussions. Do you think we should? All right. We will deal with it the way we dealt with it in the past. Although Su Lijing has a high administrative rank, he belongs to the education system. He is the main leader of a university directly under the ministry. We should not interfere too much. Secretary Ma hung up the phone and said to the driver in front, "Hurry up." Qin Guang was lying quietly on the bed. His face was burning. He raised the mirror in his hand and saw his bruised and swollen face. He grimaced slightly and affected his wounds. If he had known that using the Kirin arm on his face would cause such terrible damage, he would have worn gloves on his fists. The wind and rain outside should have started blowing. "Su Lijing, you can easily kill an almighty Superman who is only a Weibo celebrity. Then, if I replace him with thousands of fake reviewers, how are you going to cover up the truth? Do you have the ability to paralyze the internet? Of course you can't do it, so you can't stop me." "Sister Shuriwa, I want to go to the 5 capitals. Don't stop me." Jiang Yage threw things angrily. The expensive blue and white porcelain vase was smashed to the ground by her slap, breaking into pieces. Jean Shuriwa opened her hands and stood in front of the door, blocking Jiang Yage. "Yage, calm down. Things are definitely not as simple as you think." "What do you mean by not as simple as I think?" Jiang Yage was anxious. "Sister Shuriwa, are you muddle-headed? Don't you understand the way these people do things? Qin Guang started a war on the internet, and now he's been dragged into it. Who knows what will happen to him? You want me to calm down? Can I calm down? But even if we go to the 5 capitals now, we won't make it in time. And I feel that this matter isn't that simple. A few days ago he crazily increased the popularity of that almighty Superman account, and then when the popularity reached its peak he suddenly released a bomb. Can he not think of the consequences? Jin Shuiwe thought more deeply than Jiang Yage. Jiang Yage was stunned at first, but immediately felt that Jin Shuiwe's analysis was reasonable. The Qin Guang in her impression was not someone who would only do stupid things. Sister Shuiwe, you mean to say that he deliberately exposed himself first so that Su Lijing could find trouble with him? Yes. Jin Shuiwe nodded. But I've already called Uncle Ma using Grandpa's name. Jiang Yage said. This won't ruin his plans, right? Jin Shuiwe was dumbfounded. You little girl, why don't you understand the situation first before making a decision? Aren't I too concerned about him? Jiang Yage became bashful. Moreover, he wrote that Wang Ren is so evil and wicked. I'm afraid that something will happen to him. Jin Shuiwe sighed. Forget it. Since he's already said it, why don't we just repost his long article? Anyway, Uncle Ma has already passed away. There's no need to worry about his safety. Since he wants to do this, I believe that what he wrote is true. This Wang Ren deserves it. Let's just add fuel to the fire. Don't be fooled by Jin Shuiwe's calm demeanor. In the end, her words were also shocking. Jiang Yage's eyes lit up. Half an hour ago, Zhuo Jingxi sat at home restlessly. Her fingers were tapping on the mouse and keyboard, and her eyes were a little confused. In the living room, Fan Lingshan had been pacing back and forth for almost half an hour. Lingshan, hurry and sit down. Don't worry, your brother will have a way. Didn't he say a few days ago that we shouldn't think about anything and not care about anything? Since he's making a move, he'll definitely be well prepared. Hua Ling was dazzled by Fan Lingshan's pacing and could not help but say that. Fan Lingshan sat down with a sad face. But even the almighty Superman's Weibo account has been blocked. Really, why didn't he say anything? He didn't even let me call him. Look. Someone reposted the news again. Someone who was fiddling with Weibo on her phone suddenly shouted. What? Zhuo Jingxi and the other two came over to take a look. In the end, before they could open the specific content, the Weibo post that had just popped up was blocked. That's too fast. Hua Ling cursed. Zhuo Jingxi sat back in front of the computer and refreshed the page. She also shouted, It's out again. I have it here again. What's going on? I think Qin Guang said that he planned to spend money to hire fake reviewers. These are the fake reviewers he hired? So powerful? I can't even delete all of them? Zhong Yu asked. I think so. The other three said in unison, but they were not very sure. They really wanted to call Qin Guang, but unfortunately, they did not dare to contact him due to Qin Guang's instructions a few days ago. It was really distressing. The four of them simply gathered in front of the computer and watched Zhuo Jingxi refresh the page again and again. As expected, the fake reviewers from the previous money and human dispelling disaster were not to be trifled with. The fake reviewers Lu Fei found were extremely professional. At least tens of millions of accounts posted at the same time. Moreover, the pattern of these long posts was not the same. Instead, they were mixed with many subtle changes. The Weibo officials could not even block them in time based on the keywords. Seeing that the news on the internet was becoming more and more lively, it was gradually getting out of control. The four girls were so excited that they were dancing. On the other side, Suli was pacing back and forth in the living room. He was in a terrible state. He had already brought Wang Ren back from the hospital. In the afternoon, he heard that a group of young people who looked like students had come to the hospital. They looked fierce and wanted to find Wang Ren by name. They said that they wanted to seek justice for Ding Lu's death. These people were really not arranged by Qin Guang. In this world, there were still some young people with a strong sense of justice. Perhaps it was because Qin Guang's long post was too touching, or perhaps it was because Ding Lu's experience was too tragic, or perhaps it was because this group of young people was at the age where they were hot-blooded and impulsive. They did not know what they could really do by coming together. Perhaps they just wanted to point at Wang Ren's nose and give him a good scolding. After all, this was a society ruled by law. It was impossible to take someone's life for no reason. They came in a threatening manner, but in the end they did not even see the person. Chapter 4:15. However, Su Lijing was still worried, so he simply brought Wang Ren back. But from tonight onwards, Su Lijing realized that something was wrong. News came from Lilai County. It was said that as soon as the local court subpoena was issued, Qin Guang's father, Qin Guoli, quickly auctioned off the original installment of compensation. Qin Guoli was not a nobody in the local area who could be bullied by anyone. In a small place like Lulai, the roots were complicated. The smaller the place, the more ruthless the gangsters were. Chen Guoli had already paid the debt. If he still wanted to cause trouble for him, he would have to think twice. The people in Lulai County were not that easy to bully. That place was famous for producing reckless outlaws. On the other hand, Chen Guang was beaten up badly in the Jiangyuan district branch, but he did not encounter any resistance. What made Su Lijing most furious was the crazy reports that appeared on the internet from 7 o'clock that night. Even if he had contacted the official Weibo account again and again, and the other party seemed to be very busy because of this matter still could not be resolved. Who the hell wants to mess with me? Aren't they afraid of my revenge? Su Lijing was also sitting in front of the computer. With the help of his secretary, he looked at the growing storm on the internet and fell into deep thought. Old Su, what should we do now? Su Lijing's secretary hung up the phone and looked at him helplessly. You're asking me what to do? Tell the person in charge of the Weibo company that if they can't suppress this matter in half an hour, I will make them pay the price. Su Lijing slammed the table fiercely. He was not joking. With his status in the Chinese economics world, it was not impossible for him to do something to disgust a mere Weibo company. They said they have tried their best. The secretary still wanted to say something. If they have tried their best, why are these things still on the internet? Su Lijing pointed at the title on the screen. Who is indulging Wang Ren? How many Wang Rens are there in this world? He roared angrily. The secretary was having a headache. This kind of matter was not something a small secretary like him could handle. What's the use of yelling at me? At this moment, his finger pressed F5 to refresh again. Then, his pupils contracted as if he had seen a ghost. He refreshed the page again. Finally, he screamed, Elder Su. Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage, both of them reposted the same Weibo post at the same time. I know you're talking about those two celebrities, but why are you telling me this now? Su Lijing slapped the young man hard in the face. Old Su. It's not like that. The young man covered his face and whimpered. What they forwarded was the scandals about Director Wang. What? Su Lijing froze. Jin Zhang's sudden participation in the battle caused this matter to instantly be pushed to a terrifying height. At this moment, the ones who were suffering the most were none other than the Weibo official censors. They, who had been working overtime through the night, stared at Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage's Weibo accounts. They moved their mouse to the block option again and again, but they did not dare to click on it. There was such a list in the celebrities' Weibo accounts, and it was not something that the lower-level staff could handle. Once a decision was made, it had to be reported to the higher-ups. It was said that there were people in charge of this matter at the highest level of the company. Without a doubt, Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage's Weibo accounts belonged to this category. They were the VIPs among VIPs, the fighter jets among VIPs. Not to mention the lower-level staff, even the vice president of the Weibo company, who was temporarily on duty, did not dare to breathe loudly. This company had been through at least 10 years of ups and downs, so it naturally had its own set of techniques and plans for public opinion management. It was also highly consistent with the relevant departments of the country. This time, it was an order from one of the subordinate departments of the relevant department that blocked Wang Ren's information. Then the problem was, what should they do when Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage joined the battle? It wasn't that their Weibo company could not afford to lose this popularity, but the backgrounds of these two celebrities were too special. This was simply inhumane. The vice president was on the verge of tears. The two of them were the left and right hands of the national idol. Was it really necessary to get involved in this matter? Even if they had a strong foundation and were not afraid of offending people as celebrities, they should not be involved in such ordinary matters. Under normal circumstances, celebrities' Weibo would have people in charge of managing it. Even if it was just a simple post, it would require the management team to consider it thoroughly. Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage were no exception. This kind of Weibo that could pollute the company's reputation was never something that Weibo company should worry about. From the beginning, the celebrities' management team should have killed it in the cradle. But this time, without any warning, these two superstars with a combined fan base of over 100 million suddenly joined the battle. Something even more frightening happened. Perhaps someone wanted to curry favor with these two, or perhaps it was a public figure from Gokyo University who ignited the first fire. When the second and third big verified accounts also brazenly reposted Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage's Weibo, an unstoppable trend started to spread. Then, the vice president received a call from the head of a certain public opinion supervision department. The other party only said one sentence: release the almighty Superman. The vice president hung up the phone, threw it aside, and pressed the landline button to call someone in. I've received a notice from the higher-ups to restore the almighty Superman's data. All the data? Yes, all of it. Then the vice president roughly knew what the other big shot, Su Lijing's attitude would be. His face was ashen. Forget it, since the sky was falling, let it fall. I can't hold it anymore anyway. The almighty Superman had been released. 5 minutes later, the news swept across the internet like a sudden clap of thunder. The Internet Water Army Company also didn't understand what had happened, but their professionalism was unquestionable, and they decisively followed up. Since then, 3 super internet celebrities, 2 superstars on the left and right, and an almighty Superman with a fan base of less than 10 million, but his popularity was not bad. These 3 hot Weibo accounts joined the battle at the same time. With these 3 accounts as the core, there were dozens of second and third-tier internet celebrities interspersed in. Further down, there were hundreds of public figures or small celebrities who more or less expressed their own opinions. Some people chose to believe, and their words were equally fierce against Wang Ren. Some people were skeptical, thinking that this kind of thing was too ridiculous. The Weibo company had already expressed that they could no longer continue to supervise, and even made it clear that they would let it be. Even if Su Lijing's phone was about to explode, he could only get a reply that they had not received a notice from the higher-ups. In the past, a middle-level leader of the Public Opinion Management Department who would grant almost all of his requests was Su Lijing's student, but now he didn't even dare to pick up Su Lijing's phone. On the other side, Secretary Ma and Wu Shan came to the Jiangyuan district branch together. Without any hesitation, they went straight to the detention room. I have figured out what happened to Qin Guang, but I don't understand. This is the business of the Transportation Management Department. Why did you, the Jiangyuan district branch, come and join in the fun? Is there something wrong with your brain or something? The issue of the internet runner has never been settled. Who gave you the courage to directly arrest him? Secretary Ma walked forward quickly as he pointed at the head of the Jiangyuan district branch's director and scolded him. The poor director looked at Wu Shan, who was standing beside Secretary Ma without saying a word, and thought to himself, "Old man, hurry up and say something. Now that Qin Guang is in such a pitiful state, it is a trick that we made up together." Wu Shan, on the other hand, was looking at his nose and heart. From time to time, he would look at Secretary Ma with a look that said, "Brother, hold on." Bang. Seeing Qin Guang lying on the iron bed in the detention room, Secretary Ma was furious and slammed the table. "What did I say before? What did you promise me? Now that you beat him up like this, how am I going to explain this to others? Who gave you the courage to do this? The higher-ups of the internet company had just participated in the visit, and you caused such a big trouble for me. Who are you slapping in the face? What kind of director are you?" Secretary Ma bombarded the head of the Jiangyuan district branch's director. Qin Guang sat up blankly. Before he could say anything, the big shot in the province came up to him again. "Young man, I have figured out what happened to you. If you have any grievances in your heart, you can tell me. I will personally uphold justice for you." After coming closer, Qin Guang finally recognized the person in front of him. As a young man in the new era, he often watched the news. How could he not recognize this person? But here comes the problem. This big shot, who is a busy man, suddenly came out and said that he will uphold justice for me, the little brother who was arrested? To be honest, I am fine here now. I don't need you to uphold justice for me. Qin Guang couldn't help but look at Wu Shan for help. "Uncle Wu, this is not the way we thought before. How should I deal with it now? Didn't we agree that when Su Lijing couldn't bear the pressure and successfully launched the public prosecution the day after tomorrow, he would let me go out to perform?" Wu Shan, who was standing behind Secretary Ma, shrugged his shoulders. "Don't ask me, I don't know what is going on either. Little Qin, come, let's go to the hospital first. Don't keep your words in your heart. Do you think that the people in the Jiangyuan District Branch Bureau did something wrong in the procedure?" Before the others could say anything, this Secretary Ma, who was waiting for this moment, actually held Qin Guang's hand and led him outside. Qin Guang didn't want to go out. "I have already played the trick of injuring myself to gain the confidence of others. Can you not spoil my plan?" Wait a minute. Qin Guang struggled. "Who the hell can tell me what to do now? Is this old Master Ma the great Lord of Heaven? If I really go out with him now, won't the slap on my face be in vain?" Seeing that he couldn't move Qin Guang, Secretary Ma turned around and slapped the chief of Jiangyuan district. "What did you do to little Qin? You scared me to this extent." Chief Jiangyuan almost cried. "Mr. Secretary, let's talk about this slowly." Qin Guang saw the chief was slapped. "Forget it, I should go out." If I don't go now, I don't know how badly this hidden double agent will be punished. It's not easy for him to be slapped at his age. Chapter 416. Secretary Ma finally left after spending an hour in Wujing City Hospital. Before he left, he repeatedly asked Wu Shan to take care of Qin Guang's emotions and not let him feel wronged. How can Qin Guang feel wronged? I have put in so much effort to make myself so miserable and you just let me out. I feel wronged but I can't tell you. Uncle Wu, what's going on? Qin Guang asked. Wu Shan shook his head. You don't know? How would I know if you don't know? I don't even know him. I thought you contacted him. You did the right thing by not letting Su Lijing's matter slip. Although Secretary Ma is not in the same system as Su Lijing, he and Su Lijing were classmates in the past and they are very close. If you tell him, I'm afraid he will plead for you on behalf of Su Lijing. By the way, will there be any problem with Director Luo? The Director Luo that Qin Guang mentioned was the person from the Jiangyuan district branch who was implicated for no reason. Wu Shan shook his head. It's fine. If Secretary Ma really wants to hold him accountable, he will not slap him in the face in front of you. It was Wu Shan's profound way of doing things which Qin Guang could only listen to in one ear and out the other. Qin Guang and Wu Shan discussed for a while more. There was a change in the plan, but fortunately, Secretary Ma did not notice anything. He did not link Qin Guang to the Gokyo University's Wang Ren incident. After leaving the hospital, Secretary Ma's secretary finally sent this big event to him. In addition, Su Lijing was also desperate, so he called Secretary Ma. Secretary Ma did not promise anything easily, but he did feel that it was not good for the public opinion to be in an uproar on the internet. He was about to report this matter to the public opinion regulator in Beijing, but he suddenly reminded the Secretary General that Jiang Yage and Jin Shirui had reposted the Weibo posts against Wang Ren. Secretary Ma had been in the political circle for many years, and when Jiang Yage called him personally, he remembered Qin Guang's strange behavior in the Jiangyuan district branch. He thought for a while and guessed what had happened. He hesitated for about 10 minutes and did not call Su Lijing in the end. Secretary Ma had long heard about the good-for-nothing son of a famous scholar who was once his classmate. However, in his position, there was no need for him to poke his nose into things that he shouldn't be involved in. Su Lijing had always taken good care of Wang Ren. He only limited Wang Ren's influence to the small area of Wujing University. But old man, you seem to have hit an iron plate this time. I can't protect you and your son anymore. Qin Guang was lying on the hospital bed playing with his mobile phone in boredom. He still did not understand why Secretary Ma came to save him out of nowhere. He tried to find out everything but he could not find any reason. Until Jiang Yage called him, he finally understood what had happened. Jiang Yage of course called to ask for credit. Qin Guang did not expect that she could have such a terrible influence, nor did he expect that she would ask for such a big favor just to help him. How is it? Praise me quickly. Jiang Yage on the other side of the phone said with a smile. Qin Guang took a deep breath and thought, I really can't praise you. Do you know how resolute and courageous I was to use the Kirin arm on my face? Can you understand how I feel at this moment? You definitely don't understand. I can't explain it to you. Oh right, how much hatred do you have with that Wang Ren? Sister Shirui and I read the long article you posted word by word. We felt that it was very sci-fi. It didn't seem like a real person. It was like something out of a novel. Jiang Yage once again showed her skill of asking for credit. Reality is often more nonsensical than novels. That's right. But we believe you, so Sister Shirui and I forwarded it to you. This really needs to be thanked. You and Jin Shirui forwarded it? How can I accept it? I can't thank you with words. Jiang Yage snappily said, shouldn't I say that? How can you say that you can't thank me? Well, that's right. Aren't you going to do something to express your gratitude? Jiang Yage giggled. An idea flashed in Qin Guang's mind. Why don't I repay you with my body? Jiang Yage immediately replied, okay. What the hell? Can't you be a little more reserved? I'm joking. Qin Guang hurriedly added. I'm very serious. After chatting with Jiang Yage for a while, Qin Guang happily hung up the phone. Although he was afraid of her crazy knife most of the time, chatting with her really helped to ease his mood. But after Jiang Yage hung up the phone, she wasn't very happy. She looked at Jin Shirui who was looking at her anxiously and said, why didn't he ask me for help? Jin Shirui snappily glared at her. Do you really want to be his protector? Just now your grandfather called the landline. I picked it up. He asked me to help look after you a little. He also felt that Su Lijing's behavior was a little too much. but our identities are sensitive. It's not good to get involved. It's enough for us to follow his Weibo and help him create some momentum. Jiang Yage nodded and then sighed. You're right. Jin Shuiwei added, actually we don't need to do anything else. As long as Qin Guang's things are completely true, Su Lijing is done for. Not long after hanging up the phone with Jiang Yage, Tang Ying came in again. Wujing City Hospital was her territory. How could she not know that such a special patient had come in? Tang Ying taught him a lesson on behalf of Wu Tong and secretly showed him a text message. It was Wu Tong who asked her to pass on the message. As expected, Wu Tong was held back by Wu Shan in Beijing. She didn't know if it was a coincidence or not, but Wu Tong was sent to a closed-off secret training center. She couldn't contact the outside world at all. It wasn't easy for her to find an opportunity to borrow someone's dedicated phone to send a message to Tang Ying. Wu Tong reminded Qin Guang again and again not to act rashly before she came back. Qin Guang just looked at her and smiled. Not only did I move, I couldn't stop. Instead, he told Tang Ying to keep it a secret from Wu Tong. Tang Ying was exhausted. I really don't know what's going on in your head. Although it looks like you're doing it with a sense of justice, is it good for you? Tang Ying should have gotten off work a long time ago, but she didn't leave. Since Wu Tong couldn't come back, she took over the role of Wu Tong's sister, and volunteered to take care of Qin Guang. As she spoke, she handed the peeled fruit in her hand to him. Qin Guang quietly looked at the clock on the wall. It was almost 12 o'clock. He groaned. My hand hurts. I can't move. Sister Tang Ying, can you feed me? It really hurts? I'm fine. Pretending to be sick in front of the doctor? Aren't you afraid that I'll operate on you? Of course not. I'm not pretending. I'm really sick. I'm seriously injured. I look fine on the outside, but my bones are about to break into pieces inside. Although she was still spitting, Tang Ying still fed him. Sister Tang Ying, I know that I'm being silly. Who wouldn't want to live a happy life? But there's nothing I can do about it. I've read in a novel in the past. What's this called? When your thoughts aren't clear, your cultivation will suffer. Qin Guang spoke with a mixture of truth and lies. Cultivation. How am I supposed to cultivate to become an immortal? I'm not joking with you. There really are immortals in this world. Qin Guang said. Tang Ying saw how confident he was. Aren't you afraid that you'll cut your tongue off by saying this in front of the youngest genius doctor in the history of Moreland's Medical College? Qin Guang suddenly raised his head and looked at her. Hey, let's not talk about whether there are immortals or not. Let's assume that there really are immortals. If there really is such a person who can turn you into an immortal, he'll tell you that as long as you're willing to follow him, he'll grant you immortality and eternal youth. He'll grant you everything you want. He'll even be able to travel in space and extinguish a star like the sun with a single punch. Are you willing to follow him? Why are you so serious all of a sudden? Tang Ying asked curiously. She hesitated for a moment. Fine. Let's assume that what you said is true. Who would refuse such a great offer? Tang Ying, am just an ordinary person. I won't be able to resist this temptation. Then what if this person is very fickle and has many women, and you're just one of them? Qin Guang asked again. Tang Ying smiled coolly. I don't know what others think, but in my opinion, in the face of becoming an immortal, it doesn't matter how many women that person has. Why are you so serious? Don't tell me you're talking about yourself. Qin Guang chuckled. That's right. It's me. The person lying in front of you is the legendary Lord of all realms. As long as you follow me, I'll pluck down all the stars in the sky for you. I didn't believe Wu Tong when she said you were a lecherous little brother. I even defended you, but now I've seen through you. Tang Ying blushed and pinched his hand. She seemed to recall what happened after this guy ate the super powerful tonic soup that night. You haven't taken enough advantage of me, have you? Qin Guang nodded happily. Yes. Go look for your sister Wu Tong. Tang Ying pinched him again. You're already making up stories to take advantage of me. Strangely enough, if someone else said that to her, she would only feel annoyed. But when it came to Qin Guang, she never got angry. Perhaps it was because she had left a very good first impression when they first met, or perhaps it was because they had already done things on a larger scale, or perhaps it was because her best friend, Wu Tong, had made it clear that she wanted to give herself to him. Tang Ying only felt shy when faced with this guy's teasing, but she didn't feel the slightest bit unhappy. While Qin Guang was lying in the VIP ward pretending to be a patient enjoying the warmth of a woman, Su Lijing was on the verge of breaking down. Chapter 417. With the Internet Water Army's actions as the first point, Wang Ren's matter once again became a hot topic after a day of silence and brewing. However, it was not hot enough at that time and not many people paid attention to it. Jin Shuiwei and Jiang Yage followed the trend and posted on Weibo as the second-time node. This matter suddenly heated up and swept across the entire Weibo in a short period of time like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. As more and more people paid attention to it, the matter seemed to form a chemical chain reaction and brewed on its own. Until half an hour ago, the first web portal began to publish this matter as a special topic on its homepage, and the heat was once again raised to another level. The previous hot topic was the Chinese men's soccer team entering the World Cup. Wang Yinu's special topic was called, "It takes 10 years to grow trees and 100 years to educate people. Be a worm in the towering tree of modern education." Sohu New's special topic was called, "Reality is crueler than fiction. Who will uphold justice for the dead?" China News' special topic was the most eye-catching. "Who is Wang Ren? Who is the Wang Ren behind Wang Ren?" China News, as the official mouthpiece, actually put such a title on their homepage. The meaning of the title was very obvious. The wind had changed. Finally, under Qin Guang's brewing and manipulation, this matter went from a spark to a prairie fire, and it could not be stopped. Water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. Su Lijing had been in business for half his life, and the only stain was on Wang Ren. In the past, no one had uncovered him, or even if someone did, it was not powerful enough. Su Lijing could easily use his personal influence to eliminate it. Until today, when Qin Guang almost flipped the table with his life, he could no longer hide it. In the middle of the night, Wang Ren received a phone call, and then his face turned ashen. His connections in the procuratorate had privately informed him that Wang Ren's prosecution would officially start tomorrow, and this meant that he could no longer leave the country. "I told you to leave immediately. You said you don't want to leave. Now it's all over. You can't leave." Su Lijing slapped Wang Ren's face hard, but this did not quell his anger. Then he received another call. It was from a junior police officer from the Jiangyuan district's sub-bureau. He only informed him of one thing. Qin Guang was taken out of the sub-bureau. Secretary Ma led the team and Wu Shan accompanied him. When Su Lijing heard this, his heart turned cold. "It's over. Dad. You must help me. You have to save me. I know I was wrong. I don't want to go to jail. You can't let me go to jail. Dad, you must have a way, right? I'll be fine, right?" Wang Ren even forgot about his injuries and knelt down in front of Su Lijing. Su Lijing gave Wang Ren a pained look. "Do you regret it now? When I told you to leave, why didn't you take it seriously? I am your son. There was no reason for him to go to jail over such a small matter." "I didn't expect this," Wang Ren said tearfully. This time Su Lijing did not correct him. He was not in the mood to do so. Wang Ren's aunt also ran out of the study. "Attention, you can't just ignore this. It's been so long, why are you bringing up the past? Go find someone, you have so many friends. They could all be of help. There will be no problem, right? You only have one son, Sharon. Sharon is still young. Who hasn't made mistakes. He can't go to jail." Su Lijing looked at the mother and son, echoing each other, and felt extremely tired. He really did not understand what he had done wrong. Why was his son so useless? Was he still young? He was already over 30 years old, and this was still considered young. Look at the children of other families. Which one of them was like him? They were past 30 years old and still accomplished nothing. Not only that, but their minds were always filled with dirty and rotten ideas. "You really are an idiot. I told you so many times not to cause trouble in school. You like women, there are so many expensive ones out there. Why can't you control your crotch? If you didn't touch Zhuo Jingxi, if you didn't provoke Qin Guang, you wouldn't have become like this." Su Lijing raised his leg, wishing he could step on Wang Ren's back. But in the end he could not bring himself to do it. "Forget it. Now that things have come to this, I can only sell my old face. Don't worry, I will think of a way." In fact, Su Lijing had never thought that Wang Ren would become like this because of his words, "I will think of a way." Su Lijing indulged him again and again, cleaning up after him again and again. This made Wang Ren, who was already a bad person, even more indulgent. He always felt that no matter how big the mess he made, Su Lijing would be able to handle it for him. At least in the 10 years before today, Wang Ren's trick had been tried and tested. How could there be karma without cause in this world? Qin Guang was discharged from the hospital early the next morning. He first quietly went to the hotel room that he had arranged with Deputy Director Han to meet with the family of the boy who was seriously injured and eventually died in a vegetative state. So far the only things that could really be used to convict Wang Ren were this boy, the nurse and Ding Lu. The other so-called corruption and the so-called unspoken rules in the school, although hateful, could be said to be consensual. It could be said that there was a problem with his lifestyle, but it was not enough to convict him. At least if they wanted to touch someone with Wang Ren's background, these things were not fatal. Currently, Ding Lu's family had lost contact, and the nurse was unwilling to come forward. The only people who could file a lawsuit as the victim's family was actually the boy's family. The family had originally given up on struggling. Now that Qin Guang had taken the lead to help them get revenge, they were naturally grateful. Qin Guang did not say much. He only told them to be at ease and boldly sue. As long as they sent Wang Ren to court, he would handle the rest of the matter. In the afternoon, the court summons was delivered to Wang Ren. However, Qin Guang received an unexpected phone call. It was from Su Lijing. Su Lijing asked to meet with him. Originally, Qin Guang did not want to respond, but after discussing it with Wu Shan, he finally went. The two arranged to meet at a tea house in the center of Wujing City. When Qin Guang arrived, Su Lijing had already sat down in the private room of the tea house. After a few days, the old man who was originally aggressive seemed to have aged 10 years. His spirit was not as good as before, and there seemed to be a lot more white hair on his head. Su Lijing personally poured a cup of hot tea for Qin Guang. Qin Guang did not take the initiative to open his mouth. He just watched this giant of the economics world humble himself to do this seemingly meaningless thing. Qin Guang, stop. I can give you whatever benefits you want. Su Lijing gently pushed the teacup in front of Qin Guang with both hands. Qin Guang looked down at the tea in the cup. It was clearly overflowing with tea fragrance, but he did not have the slightest appetite. Vice Principal Su, I have already done this much. Do you think it's possible for me to stop? What do you want? What benefits does this bring to you? Su Lijing saw that lowering his head was not going to work, so he slammed the table. Qin Guang laughed. What? Seeing that lowering your head is useless, you want to play the old trick of threatening me? I'm sorry, I don't buy it. If I was really afraid of you, I wouldn't have meddled in this matter from the beginning. Do you think I really want something? Su Lijing looked at Qin Guang with a scrutinizing gaze. Of course. Everyone in the world comes for benefits. No one rises early without benefits. You should understand one thing. Even if I, Su Lijing, don't hold this position anymore and become an unemployed old man, if you offend me to death, I can still make it difficult for you to take a single step in the future. You know the risks involved. Without enough attractive benefits, why would you do such a strenuous and unrewarding thing? Qin Guang picked up the cup and splashed the tea on the floor. Vice Principal Su, you don't understand me and I don't expect you to understand. If I say that I did all this for no reason other than to have a clear conscience, you definitely won't believe me. But this is the truth. If you insist on asking me what I want, I can only tell you this. What I want is an eye for an eye. To have a clear conscience. After saying that, he turned to leave. Stop right there. Su Lijing suddenly stood up. Qin Guang turned back. What else do you want to say? I know your background. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because someone is backing you up. You don't understand. You are breaking the rules. Even if you can really hurt me, you will lose your value after this, and you will be abandoned like a broken broom. Su Lijing was not stupid. He vaguely guessed that Qin Guang had the support of a hidden political enemy. He understood the meaning of this too well. Indeed, Qin Guang didn't understand Su Lijing's reasoning, nor did he want to understand. However, he wasn't a fool, so how could he not understand Su Lijing's unspoken words? Old Mr. Su, I truly admire your imagination, but you've guessed wrongly. Okay, I thought you would have a little bit of repentance, so I came today. But now it seems that I wasted my time again. After saying that, Qin Guang was about to leave again. Don't think that I will wait for death. Su Lijing looked at Qin Guang's back and slammed the table. Chapter 418. Qin Guang turned around and slammed the table even harder than Su Lijing. Old Mr. Su, put away your stubborn temper. That's right, I'm a small fry, but small fry also have small fry principles. I've never been so determined to do something that has no meaning to me as I am now. But I've never thought of backing down. You know better than me what kind of bastard Wang Ren is. Someone should have stood up long ago. In the past 3 years, I've tried to convince myself not to be a good person. Not to do something that's strenuous and unrewarding. I almost succeeded. I almost turned myself into a rat hiding in a turtle shell. But now I'm very thankful. I'm thankful that I brought out enough courage and determination. I didn't become the person I hated the most. Yes. This doesn't do me any good at all. It could even be said to be endless trouble. If I had to say where I went wrong, it was that I shouldn't have known about Ding Lu. I shouldn't have read Ding Lu's will. I shouldn't have listened to that despairing recording. A person has to be willful once in their life. I'm going to be willful today. I'm going to King skin you and Wang Ren today. I'm going to be the person who should have stood up long ago. Use whatever methods you have. I want to see if this world is really that dark. I can't stand this darkness. I want everything I see to turn into white. I wasn't that kind of person in the past. Thank you and your good son for letting me see the extreme of filth and ugliness. Yes, you, Su Lijing, have done many things for the country and the people, but that can't be a reason for you to allow Wang Ren to be lawless. Ding Lu's family was so poor that they couldn't even afford to eat. They didn't receive any help from you. But under your connivance, Wang Ren destroyed everything for her. From your body to your soul, you've been completely destroyed by your good son. Even if you had such a great contribution, it had nothing to do with Ding Lu. What you owe her, I'll help her get back. I really have to thank you. If it weren't for you, I, Qin Guang, would definitely choose to shrink my neck and be a selfish person for the rest of my life. But now I can't do it. I have to be a good person. Su Lijing was so angry that his entire body trembled. He pointed at Qin Guang and said, You little bastard. Qin Guang laughed. He turned his head abruptly and moved his face closer and closer, staring at Su Lijing. Su Lijing subconsciously backed away, but his head hit the wall of the private room. Qin Guang suddenly reached out his hand, grabbed Su Lijing's collar and lifted him up. You call me a little bastard? An old bastard like you dares to say that to me? Don't you often wonder why my son is so useless? Why can't he save me some trouble? Can't you understand this logic? No, you might understand, but how could you not? If it weren't for the fact that you feel that you're great, that you're superior to others, that the Su family should naturally ride on the heads of nobodies, how could you turn a blind eye to Wang Ren's actions? If it weren't for you, how could Wang Ren have become such a person? You, Su Lijing, are the real #1 bastard. The biggest bastard. Old bastard. Bald donkey. I feel like I'll dirty my mouth if I say another word to you. After Qin Guang said that, he threw Su Lijing to the ground, slammed the door and left. Su Lijing coughed violently and slowly stood up. The 2 bodyguards who had been guarding outside rushed in. Elder Su, are you all right? Su Lijing waved his hand and coughed twice. I'm fine, I'm fine. He did not have the mood to let these 2 bodyguards cause trouble for Qin Guang. Of course, these 2 might not have the guts to do so. He was indescribably disappointed. Things had finally reached a point where there was no turning back. If Qin Guang really wanted something, perhaps they could still negotiate. But what he was most afraid of was that Qin Guang was a hothead. What he was most afraid of was that this guy was just doing what Su Lijing saw as meaningless justice. This was King belief. This was especially scary. 70 years ago, there was a group of people who were not afraid of death for this country. That was the feeling that Qin Guang gave him now. Su Lijing had never thought that he, who had stood proudly in this country and even in the economics world for so many years, could speak freely with the country's leaders, would one day be pointed at his nose and scolded by a student, and he could not retaliate. Qin Guang and Su Lijing had fallen out. He also knew that this unrepentant old man would make a move soon, but he did not expect it to be so soon. An hour later, the prosecution lawyer that Lu Fei had helped to contact suddenly broke the contract and no longer accepted the lawsuit. Apart from that, the family of the boy who originally hated Su Lijing and Wang Ren changed his mind for some reason. Without the victim's family to sue, the original procedure had to be overturned again. Mr. Qin, Deputy Director Han, we don't want to sue Wang Ren anymore. The boy's father looked at the livid Qin Guang and Deputy Director Han, his eyes flashing. Old Han was furious. Did Su Lijing contact you in private? Are you guys stupid or what? What do you call this? This is called asking a tiger for its skin, this is called helping a tiger do its evil. We put in so much effort to create a good situation. We risked our futures and lives to help you seek justice, and now you're telling us that you want to get cold feet? Thank you for your help all this time. We know what's right and wrong, and we also know that you've sacrificed a lot, but... The boy's mother's eyes reddened as she spoke. Qin Guang looked at the family's extremely awkward expression and asked, If I'm not wrong, Su Lijing told you 2 things in general. First, even if you win the lawsuit and send Wang Ren to jail, Wang Ren won't die and you won't get many benefits. When the time comes, he'll keep thinking of ways to make trouble for you. Second, if you give up on suing, he'll promise you all sorts of benefits? The boy's father's face stiffened. Wei Tianwang had guessed everything correctly, but of course he could not admit it. He shook his head. No, it's not like that. It was just an accident. It has nothing to do with Wang Ren. What a joke. I've already shown you the surveillance footage. Now you're telling me that this matter has nothing to do with Wang Ren? Are you worthy of your son's soul in the netherworld? Don't you feel pain? Don't you feel pain? Don't you hate him? Qin Guang was so angry that he laughed. Sometimes you really couldn't bring yourself to love some people. It's not that we don't want to, but that's Su Lijing. Even if we send Wang Ren to jail, there's actually not much meaning. Xiao Song is already gone, but our lives still have to go on. He won't blame us. Qin Guang and Old Han looked at each other. Although they didn't know how much benefits they received, it wasn't hard to imagine how strong the coercion and temptation that could make a family give up on the hatred of losing their son. The two walked out of the hotel room dejectedly. Before they closed the door, Qin Guang vaguely heard a sentence from inside. That Su guy said there's still half, right? We'll use this money to build a new grave for Xiao Song. He'll forgive us, right? The family's sudden change of heart turned the originally good situation into a mess within a day. It's all my fault. I didn't expect Su Lijing to work on the victim's family. I originally thought they were the most reliable people. Sai, if I knew this would happen, I would have hidden them away and not let Su Lijing's people come into contact with them. Old Han blamed himself. He looked at Qin Guang, who also had an ugly expression. This young man didn't seek fame or profit. He only provided manpower and money to uphold justice. Instead, the victim's family was the first to retreat. On the other hand, as a dignified deputy director, he was only responsible for such a small matter, and now he was in trouble. Compared to him, he was ashamed of his inferiority. How disappointed must he be in his heart at this moment? Qin Guang smiled. It's okay. If it doesn't work, I'll sue myself. Although it doesn't seem like I have a position, it's fine as long as I can send Wang Ren to court. If he really can't go to court, I have other ways. What are you going to do? Old Han was shocked. Qin Guang didn't say anything, but his gaze was firm. On the other end, Guoming, who had gone to a few law firms in a day, also called dejectedly. In the big Wujing city, or even the whole country, there wasn't a single law firm that was willing to take on this matter. Su Lijing had already gone all out. He wanted to take drastic measures. Although Wang Ren was currently in a precarious situation due to the uproar on the internet, Su Lijing's years of operation were not for nothing. Apart from that, the news of Secretary Ma standing up for Qin Guang had already spread in a small circle. However, for those who weren't well informed, they didn't know what relationship Secretary Ma and Qin Guang had with Su Lijing. They only treated this matter as a personal grudge between Su Lijing and the internet celebrity known as the Almighty Superman. As for Jin Lijing and Jiang Fei's inexplicable participation in the battle, perhaps they had been duped, or perhaps they had nothing better to do. In any case, the two of them never had a black mark and no one dared to talk about the two of them, right? Even if the Wuxia news network had begun to point out Wang Ren by name, Wang Ren was backed by Su Lijing. Putting aside the fact that he spoiled his only son, his personal influence in all aspects of the country couldn't be ignored. Therefore, when Su Lijing began to personally stand up and protect Wang Ren, not only the law firm that Lu Fei had contacted, but all the large law firms in the country had to think twice. At this time, the ones who were the most conflicted and in pain were the procuratorate. Originally, they couldn't withstand the pressure from all over the place as well as the direction of public opinion, and were prepared to launch a public prosecution against Wang Ren. However, at that time, Su Lijing hadn't really made a move yet, and the boy's family was also radical enough with the help of Qin Guang. However, suddenly that family didn't make any moves. The procuratorate was also in a dilemma, but Su Lijing personally asked someone to call them. For a time, Qin Guang and Old Man Han couldn't do anything. Chapter 419. Are we just going to let it go like this? Old Han looked at Qin Guang in despair. The popularity of Wang Ren's case on the internet would eventually die down. This was also the characteristic of the internet. Every day at every moment there would be all kinds of hot news. News came and went quickly. Even if there was a big explosion somewhere and everyone knew about it for a while, after a while, this hot news would be gradually overshadowed by the torrent of information explosion. People's attention would be diverted, and their hatred and disgust would be forgotten. Even if the world was turned upside down, if one could not take advantage of the time when the wind blew to settle it, It would only become an inconspicuous past that was buried by the wind and sand. Without Wu Shan adding fuel to the fire, Qin Guang wanted to rely on his own strength to complete this matter and send Wang Ren to court. Even if it seemed justified, the world's principles could not be won just by standing on the side of reason. Unwilling to give up, Qin Guang posted another Weibo post using the almighty Superman. This time he flipped the table again. I thought that I could uphold justice with my moral standing, but now I realize that I'm powerless. I'm just an internet celebrity. Other than shouting on the internet, I can't do anything. My friend told me that the victim's family backed down and wanted to withdraw the lawsuit. He couldn't find a law firm willing to take the case, and the documents sent by the prosecutor's office were also empty promises. I don't understand what's going on with this world. Why can't the wicked get the punishment they deserve? I used to think that it was because the ugly was not exposed to the world. Now, as a first-tier internet celebrity, I take out the ugly things and let them bask in the sun, let the sun purify the ugliness of the world. But now I realize that I was wrong. I'm just an incandescent light. If someone cuts off my electricity, I have no light. Now that I have electricity again, I'm starting to struggle again. I'm starting to court death again. But it's meaningless. In the video you can see I'm an omnipotent almighty Superman. On the other side you can't see I'm just a useless person who can't do anything. From tomorrow onwards I will be a blind man. I no longer need my eyes to find the light. From tomorrow onwards I'll be deaf. I don't want to hear the mournful and hateful wails of vengeful spirits. From tomorrow onwards I'll be a cripple. I'll live the rest of my life in the illusion with a leg that's covered in mud and rotten. From tomorrow onwards I'll be a madman. Since I can't change anything, I'll just make myself crazy. That way I might be able to live a more relaxed life. Is this really the only way? Parking his car alone outside Zhuo Jingxi's neighborhood, Qin Guang pressed the send button. In fact, he didn't know what the point of posting this Weibo post was, but there was too much anger in his chest that he couldn't calm down. 5 minutes later the first call came from Jin Shiyue. Qin Guang really didn't expect it to be her. On the other end of the phone, she was silent for a moment, and finally said inexplicably, "I'm sorry." "Why are you saying sorry to me?" Qin Guang didn't understand. Jin Shiyue took a deep breath. "Actually, I can help you, but No. Don't be like this. I'm already very grateful that you've helped me repost the Weibo post, but I really can't ask for more from you. It was me who was nosy and wanted to plunge into this mud. There's no reason to drag you guys into this. I know that you and Jiang Yage have some background, but this will indeed cause you a lot of trouble, right? I also know that what's in front of me isn't just Su Lijing or Wang Ren. Maybe it's a big net. It looked like I was going against Su Lijing alone, but what I wanted to provoke was the entire net behind him. The price I had to pay was too high. I'm barefooted, so I'm not afraid of wearing shoes. You guys have already helped me enough." Jin Shiyue hung up the phone. Jiang Yage was so nervous that she didn't know where to put her hands and feet. She put her hands between her legs and said shyly, "What did he say?" Jin Shiyue sighed. "He doesn't want us to care about him anymore. I feel ashamed to see him. I don't even have the courage to call him. I'm such a terrible woman. I don't even dare to protect the man I like." Jiang Yage suddenly got angry with herself. Jin Shiyue squeezed her hand. "Yage, don't be like this. We didn't do anything wrong. But I still feel sad. When I think of him being unhappy now, I feel sad." Jiang Yage said, and her eyes turned red. Jin Shiyue turned her face away. Jiang Yage was straightforward, and she had already said her feelings. In fact, who could understand how uncomfortable Jin Shiyue was at this time? Jin Shiyue suddenly said heavily, "Well, I have an idea. No matter what happens between him and Su Lijing this time, if he really loses, Su Lijing will take revenge on him. At that time I can protect him. I won't let him suffer any more grievances. No one dares to touch him." Jiang Yage, whose eyes were red, suddenly froze. She turned her face and looked at Jin Shiyue blankly. "What idea? I can't think of it. I also want to call him again to help him contact someone, but won't it make people think that there's something between us? My grandfather is very sensitive. The last time I had a meal with him, he tried to find out if I had fallen in love with someone. I have more freedom than you. Why don't we say that he's my boyfriend? That way no one will suspect you?" Jin Shiyue looked at Jiang Yage seriously. Jiang Yage was stunned at first and then immediately felt happy. She felt that something was wrong. "Sister Shiyue, you're sacrificing too much." Jin Shiyue waved her hand. "It's okay. We're not children anymore. What's wrong with falling in love? But, no buts. I've already posted it on Weibo. Sister Shirue, are you crazy? There's no need to say this kind of thing on Weibo. It's enough to let some people know in private. If you post it like this, our fans will explode. Jin Shirue shrugged. After singing for so many years and acting in movies and TV shows for so many years, I'm also a little tired. Anyway, if those fans can understand it, then so be it. If they can't, I don't mind. Do we lack money? At most, I'll just take a break. Even if I really have a boyfriend who can say anything. Besides, do you really think you can release the news in a small circle? Don't you think about my dad? If we don't directly post it online and catch them off guard, you and I won't even have a chance to talk. We can only post it on Weibo. What did you say? Jiang Yage snatched Jin Shirue's phone and read it word by word. I'm in love. The boy I like is 3 months older than me. His surname is Chen. He's a third-year university student. He's not in the entertainment industry. He's the brightest ray of light in my life. Since the first time I saw him, I've fallen in love with him. Please give me your blessings and don't disturb him. You scared me to death. I thought you were going to post a photo of him. Jiang Yage patted her chest after reading it. Jin Shirue smiled casually. I'm not stupid. Can't you see that he's most afraid of fame? I don't even dare to say his name. But people who understand will naturally understand after seeing it. It's enough to subdue Su Lijing. All right, Sister Shirue, thank you. Jiang Yage returned the phone to Jin Shirue. She didn't know what to say. Dragging his exhausted body and mind, Qin Guang returned to Zhuo Jingxi's dormitory for the first time in a few days. The girls were still there to keep watch. Although Qin Guang didn't call them at all in the past few days, they could guess how much Qin Guang had done in the past few days from the scattered rumors on the internet. Zhuo Jingxi had been on Weibo, staring at the almighty Superman. When this limerick called "Starting Tomorrow" was posted, Zhuo Jingxi understood. Things didn't go as smoothly as he imagined. The resistance he encountered was stronger than he imagined. At the end of the day, he was still a student. He was the one who insisted on stiffening his neck, straightening his shoulders, and shouldering this burden that he shouldn't have. How much disappointment and pain must he have felt in the depths of his heart to be able to write such a thing? Zhuo Jingxi's impression of Qin Guang was never one who liked to show off his literary talent. He didn't have any literary talent either. Let's just forget about it. I believe that after this incident, Wang Ren won't dare to do anything in school anymore. Zhuo Jingxi began to waver. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Zhuo Jingxi stood up abruptly. Could it be that he was back? When she opened the door and saw Qin Guang with red eyes and his head hanging down, Zhuo Jingxi's heart almost broke. You're finally back. Zhuo Jingxi couldn't care less about being reserved anymore. She rushed forward and hugged Qin Guang. It's been hard on you these past few days. Feeling Zhuo Jingxi's warm embrace, Qin Guang's originally empty heart was suddenly warmed up. He then looked up at Fan Lingshan, Hua Ling, and Zhong Yu, who were looking at him from the side. Qin Guang had an illusion that he was the man who shouldered the storm on his shoulders. This was his home, the harbor of his soul. Don't ask me anything. I don't want to talk about it. Let me rest. I'm a little tired. Squeezing out of Zhuo Jingxi's embrace, Qin Guang forced a smile at the crowd. He rarely showed such a weak expression. It was really too hard on him outside. He had done everything he could to this day and was about to succeed, but because the person he could rely on the most reneged on his words, it was all for naught. He was really tired. Admittedly, he could try to find Ding Lu's family again, but it was probably too late. As long as he gave Su Lijing a chance to breathe, he would probably send Wang Ren away even if he had to bear the immense pressure. He was really at his wit's end. After dinner, Qin Guang wasn't in the mood to care about the storm outside. He told everyone that he was a little sleepy and went into Zhuo Jingxi's bedroom. He lay on the bed and played with his phone. He was scrolling through Weibo out of boredom when he saw the Weibo post that Jin Shirue had just posted. He thought he was blind. Chapter 420. Jin Shirue, who had never been involved in any scandals, actually publicly admitted that she was in love. It was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. In less than an hour, the internet had completely exploded. The news came too suddenly and caught people off guard. It was like a sudden clap of thunder. Her love partner was just a university student. For a moment, many fans were heartbroken. Some fanatical fans even clamored on the internet to threaten her with death. They said that their goddess was no longer pure, and that there was no meaning in their lives anymore. It would be better to drag their goddess to death with them. Of course, There were also some rational fans who replied to persuade Jin Shiyue. They told her that she was not even 21 years old yet, and that it was the peak of her career. There was no need to put herself in the cage of love so early. There were also a small number of fans who expressed their understanding of Jin Shiyue's decision. They were grateful that their goddess was not like other actresses. They were obviously already married or had changed countless boyfriends, but they still pretended to be pure in front of their fans. They said that they liked this kind of Jin Shiyue, this kind of left and right hand. Yes, there was. No, there was no. They liked that she was always sincere, and they liked that she did not lie or pretend. This Weibo post did not damage their goddess's image in their hearts. Instead, it made them even more fanatical. They felt that for Jin Shiyue to post this Weibo at the peak of her career, she and her boyfriend must be really in love. Celebrities are also people. Celebrities also have the freedom to love. We support it. It was not only these fans who were crazy, but also the major entertainment media. In the past many years, there had been speculation about the scandals between Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage. However, some of the media who followed the trend had cleverly kept their mouths shut after they were unlucky. It was also proven that although the two of them were mixed in the big vat of the entertainment industry, no one could make irresponsible remarks about the love lives of the two women. Not to mention the scandals, even in the TV movies, the two of them had always used a stunt double for kissing scenes. They rarely even held hands. Many people even suspected that the two girls who had grown up together had an abnormal sexual orientation and did not like men at all. But today this incomparably explosive news came from Jin Shiyue's own mouth, and the meaning and concept were different. In the past, no one dared to guess or say anything, but now that she has admitted it herself, of course, we have to make a big deal out of it. Entertainment information websites, gossip Weibo, gossip websites, newspapers and magazines, and even major video websites followed up immediately, trying to analyze Jin Shiyue's Weibo in depth. At this moment, Jin Shiyue's best friend, Jiang Yage, also spoke. Congratulations, Sister Shiyue, for finding your true love. I've also met handsome Chen, he's a good man. Sister Shiyue, you beat me to it. His heart ached for himself. I won't say any more, Sister Shiyue hit me. Jiang Yage's Weibo brought this matter to an even higher level of popularity. Who didn't know that these two people were inseparable from each other? Jin Shiyue did not speak nonsense. This was really not an April Fool's joke. Jin Shiyue's family called immediately, but she only replied with such a simple sentence. Dad, don't say anything, I'm serious. Jin Shiyue's father had originally prepared thousands of words, but all of a sudden he choked back. You really? Who is it? Why didn't you tell me first? Anyway, he's a very, very good boy. For him, I cannot be a star, I can leave the screen, I can put away the microphone, I'm willing to live a simple life with him facing the sea and flowers blooming in spring. I didn't tell you in advance because I was afraid that you wouldn't be happy, wouldn't agree and wouldn't let me say it. Anyway, when the time is right, I'll bring him to you. Jin Shiyue hung up the phone and Jiang Yage sized her up for a long time. Sister Shiyue, you. Jin Shiyue smiled. If I don't say it seriously, how can I deceive them? I have to post another Weibo, the fans' comments below are going to explode. I've experienced too much life under the spotlight, I've also seen a lot of good boys, but there has never been anyone like him, who could give me the courage and impulse to give up everything to be with him. I know that there will be a lot of people who don't understand me, but I don't expect to be understood by everyone. As an artist, as a public figure, this is something I have to face. I can choose to keep it a secret, but I can't do it. I clearly love him, but I still have to hide it from all of you. No matter if you scold me or if you don't pay attention to me in the future, I will say it loudly, I love him. I am like this. I am Jin Shiyue, I am an artist, I am also a woman. Pressing the send button, Jin Shiyue winked at Jiang Yage. How is it? Did I write it well? Jiang Yage was extremely envious. Sigh, I really wish I was the one who posted this Weibo. Far away in Wujing City, thousands of kilometers away, Qin Guang was nestled in Zhuo Jingxi's fragrant bed, and he was already a little drowsy, but then he was shocked by Jin Shiyue's Weibo. He was so sleepy that he almost ran away. Surname Qin? The light in my life. It's not that I'm narcissistic, but no matter how I think about it, this is King talking about the old man. Does this mean that she's publicly confessing to me in front of the whole world? Although it feels good, it's too sci-fi. But he immediately realized something was wrong. Even if it was really one of the two people who posted this, there was no reason for it to be Jin Shiyue. It should be Jiang Yage, right? Did I open Weibo the wrong way? Or could it be that all along Jiang Yage was just a cover, and the one who really liked him was Jin Shiyue? He blushed on his own behalf when he said such a thing. He really couldn't suppress his curiosity, so he opened WeChat to take a look. After seeing the message from Jin Shiyue, he instantly understood what was going on. Jin Shiyue had helped him a lot. Chen Guang would never have dreamed that Jin Shiyue would help him like this. For a 21-year-old female artist to publicly admit her relationship and post such mushy words, Chen Guang could roughly imagine the price she had to pay. But with her Weibo, coupled with her identity and background, it really became Chen Guang's death exemption gold medal. Chen Guang knew that no matter what, he didn't have to worry about Su Lijing's revenge. It was just that the price seemed a little too high for Jin Shiyue. It's not worth it. Don't you have an easier way to do it? If your background is really as scary as the rumors say, or just because Secretary Tianma personally came to the Jiangyuan branch office to rescue me, you don't have to do this. Chen Guang really couldn't understand Jin Shiyue's super help. But no matter what, he had to remember Jin Shiyue's kindness. Thousands of words couldn't express it all. In the end, he could only reply with two simple words, thank you. After replying, Chen Guang clicked on his almighty Superman's Weibo again. The fans' comments were as usual, each with their own opinions. Some people encouraged him, feeling that he was doing what he had always wanted to do, but didn't have the courage or ability to do it. Similarly, some people slandered him, saying that this is the era of fast food consumption. We like you because you can use videos to surprise us and let us pass the time. We don't need you to bring us any deeper thoughts. Our lives are already unhappy enough. You better only share happy things with us. After all, you're just an internet celebrity. You're just an actor. Don't make yourself out to be a saint. You can't change anything and you can't teach us anything. Just give up, and become the almighty Superman that we used to like, and not the public intellectual who can't extricate himself. There were also some young or impulsive young lawyers who were willing to stand up and provide legal assistance, but Chen Guang knew that it was useless. Unknowingly, he actually fell asleep. When he opened his eyes again, it was already late at night. He didn't know how long he had slept. Zhuo Jingxi was lying next to him, covered with the same blanket as him. There was a faint light coming from her direction, and it seemed that she was still playing with her phone. What time was it? Where were the others? Why did she directly fall asleep? She seemed to have changed into her pajamas. Chen Guang gently twitched his nose, feeling the faint fragrance of the shower gel coming from Zhuo Jingxi's body. With the faint light from her phone, he looked in Zhuo Jingxi's direction and keenly noticed that the pajama straps on her shoulders were loosely hanging. Only pajama straps, no bra? She wasn't wearing anything else? What's going on? A man and a woman, sleeping together in the middle of the night? Teacher Zhuo, why didn't you wake me up? He didn't know if it was an illusion or real, but Chen Guang felt that the fragrance in his nose was getting stronger and stronger. The room in the middle of summer seemed to be a little hot. Zhuo Jingxi moved slightly, pulled the blanket covering her down a little, and then slightly twisted her body in Chen Guang's direction. Her face was still facing the phone screen, and he didn't know what she was looking at, but she was exceptionally focused. Her silk pajamas were too loose, and Chen Guang's sharp eyes drilled past her body. He could even clearly see the slight goosebumps on the edge of the arc. He secretly swallowed his saliva, feeling that the situation was not good. No, I can't go on like this. I have to think of a way to remind her that I'm already awake. Chen Guang got up slightly and moved forward a little, pretending to look at her phone screen curiously. It was actually Jin Shiyue's Weibo post. Feeling the movement behind her, Zhuo Jingxi suddenly turned around to look at him. You're awake? She was so calm. Chen Guang answered blankly, yes. Zhuo Jingxi smiled again and instead moved closer to Chen Guang a little more. She placed the phone screen in front of him, pointed at it and said, the third-year student with the surname Chen mentioned in this Weibo post, is that you? The smell on her body was even stronger. Chen Guang's eyes looked at Zhuo Jingxi's phone, but his mind was a mess. The distance between the two of them was too close. As if deliberately to let Chen Guang see the words on the screen clearly, Zhuo Jingxi's body was tilted too much, so much so that one of her more voluptuous hemispheres than the average person's was pressing on Chen Guang's shoulder. Yes, it's me, but that's not our relationship. Chen Guang responded as he moved to the other side, forcibly increasing the distance between the two of them. Although there was a little devil in his heart that was reluctant to leave, he still felt that it was not right to go on like this. It was too wrong. Zhuo Jingxi seemed to have sensed his thoughts. She covered her mouth and chuckled, then moved closer to him without changing her expression. Why are you explaining it to me? Chapter 421. I wanted to explain it to you, so I explained it to you. The conversation between the two of them was very boring. No wonder the two of them reposted your Weibo post. It turns out that you already know your left and right hands. I really couldn't tell. In the darkness, Zhuo Jingxi's tone became a little strange. The faint light from the phone screen made her face look a little hazy. Qin Guang told Zhuo Jingxi everything about how he got to know his left and right hands. I really couldn't tell that you're so charming. It's just a life-saving debt and they're helping you like this. How big of a celebrity is she? In order to protect you, she often tells people that she's in a relationship. As Zhuo Jingxi said this, she giggled and pointed at Jin Shiyue's second Weibo post on the phone screen. She teased, "Look at what she wrote. I love him. Even though so many fans are protesting, she still says that's just how I am." Alright, what did the previous post say? He's a ray of light in my life. I'm getting goosebumps all over. I already said that she's helping me. Why don't you believe me? What do you mean by life-saving debt? How many lives do people have in this lifetime? You're making it sound so simple. Qin Guang was getting a headache from her joking tone. He gritted his teeth and reached out to poke her armpit through the silk pajamas. Zhuo Jingxi burst out laughing. Don't scratch me. It's itchy. Wow. Qin Guang was about to stop, but she giggled and said, "Anyway, as a woman, I'm guessing that Jin Shiyue definitely likes you. You can't pretend to like her. You're still talking." He couldn't let her off. Qin Guang extended his demonic claws again, and Zhuo Jingxi smiled as she resisted. One attacked and the other defended. Finally, Qin Guang's hand still managed to burrow into her armpit, and he scratched desperately. Zhuo Jingxi's tickling was unbearable, and she struggled desperately to break free. Qin Guang was having fun, so how could he let her escape? His hands tightened, and his body subconsciously pressed in her direction. Finally, something happened. Qin Guang's left hand, which was originally going to scratch her armpit, reached the wrong place. It went under her armpit of her pajamas and suddenly grabbed something plump and elastic. The two of them were momentarily stunned. Qin Guang moved his fingers slightly. His fingertips seemed to have touched something again. His mind was in a state of panic and blankness. How did it become like this? He hurriedly pulled his hand out forcefully. His nails seemed to have accidentally scratched somewhere they shouldn't have. Zhuo Jingxi moaned. "I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose." Qin Guang defended himself. Zhuo Jingxi was silent for about 5 seconds before she said with a trembling voice, It's okay." Silence, awkwardness, and a strange atmosphere filled the entire room for a moment. Both of them were caught unprepared by this sudden turn of events. Where are they? The atmosphere was too embarrassing. Qin Guang decided to say something to divert attention, even though he couldn't get the softness and hardness of his palm out of his mind. Zhuo Jingxi's voice calmed down a little. Hua Ling and Zhongyu went back to school. Lingshan is sleeping next door. Qin Guang said, "Oh." Then there was another mysterious silence. They didn't know how much time had passed, but Qin Guang's eyes were still wide open. "Teacher Zhuo, are you asleep?" "No, don't call me teacher. Call me Jingxi," Zhuo Jingxi replied. "Oh, Jingxi, thank you. I know you're just trying to make me happy." Zhuo Jingxi suddenly propped herself up and put her head in front of Qin Guang. "So, are you happier now?" Looking at the face in front of him, Qin Guang's heart suddenly beat very fast. "I am a little happy." "That's good." Zhuo Jingxi smiled. She suddenly moved her mouth forward and kissed him gently on the cheek. "Consider it a reward for your hard work these past few days." Qin Guang's face heated up when he was suddenly attacked by her. "What's there to reward me for? It's not hard work. I said it so nicely, but in the end I thought things were too simple and easy. I thought that I was an internet celebrity and that I knew some amazing people so I could make evil people get what they deserve. But in reality, in the end, I didn't do anything. I'm really a good-for-nothing." Zhuo Jingxi suddenly reached out and covered his mouth. "Don't talk about yourself like that. You're still young and you're still a student. This isn't something you should care about. You've already done very well. Otherwise, just forget it. This time you've already caused Su Lijing and Wang Renhe a lot of trouble. He won't appear in school anymore. This is already very good." Qin Guang suddenly became angry. He pushed Zhuo Jingxi's hand away and sat up straight. He waved his arms and said loudly, "How is this not good? Don't comfort me. And don't pity me. I even hated that I couldn't quietly go and break his neck. I finally understand. Yes, it's my fault. I shouldn't have relied on the law from the beginning. I should have thought of a way to break his neck from the beginning." Zhuo Jingxi was shocked by Qin Guang's sudden anger. She jumped up from the bed and hugged him tightly. Don't be like this. Don't be impulsive. What do you mean don't be impulsive? It's because too many people are always around me telling me not to be impulsive, telling me not to do this, not to do that. It's such a simple thing, but it has to be like this. Is there a point? Is there a point? Qin Guang really wanted to say it out loud. Wang Ren was not an ordinary person. He had Su Lijing behind him. Qin Guang was not an ordinary person either. He had God behind him. Although this God was crazy and unreliable, she would definitely not let him die. Enough. I've had enough. I'm tired of the game of power. They forced me. Tonight, right now, I'm going to drag that bastard Wang Ren out. I'm going to crush his bones into powder inch by inch. I'm going to make him regret being born in this world. If Su Lijing dares to say another word, I'll kill him too. Qin Guang said as he jumped off the bed. Zhuo Jingxi hugged him tightly from behind. She didn't care that her thin pajamas couldn't cover her body, and she didn't care that her plump body was pressing hard on his back. No matter what he said, Zhuo Jingxi didn't plan to let go. Her mind couldn't contain any other thoughts. She only thought, it's over. Qin Guang is going to be driven crazy. I can't let him do stupid things. Because of Qin Guang's excessive anger and agitation, his adrenaline was being secreted violently. This caused his body to violently tremble, which further confirmed Zhuo Jingxi's guess. Zhuo Jingxi hated herself for being so useless. She blamed herself even more. If it wasn't for her, Qin Guang wouldn't have met Wang Ren in the first place. If he didn't start a feud with Wang Ren in the Building Loop Academy, there wouldn't have been such a thing. Originally, Wang Ren had already disappeared from everyone's lives, but it was she who called Qin Guang to her laboratory, which allowed Wang Ren to appear in front of Qin Guang again. Like a bolt of lightning striking the ground, the two of them were destined to have many conflicts when they met. All of this is my fault. If it wasn't for me, he would still be that simple and innocent university student. He would still be the cheerful Qin Guang who didn't care about anything. Now he's going to kill someone. He's going to kill someone. He's still so young. Whether it's as his friend or his teacher, even if I have to sacrifice my life, I can't just watch him walk on this road of no return. This is murder. Let go. I won't let go. Even if you break my hand, I won't let go. I won't let go even if I die. Qin Guang tried to struggle, but he found that Zhuo Jingxi's 10 fingers were tightly clasped in front of him. If he didn't use force, he wouldn't be able to break free. But if he did that, she would definitely be injured. Why are you stopping me? Let go of me, okay? I promise I won't leave any evidence behind. I have a way to kill without spilling blood. It's just killing someone, it's not as serious as you think. Zhuo Jingxi bit down hard on Qin Guang's shoulder. Even though Qin Guang was tough, the bite still hurt. Before he could speak, Zhuo Jingxi let go first. What are you saying? Are you crazy? What do you mean it's just killing someone? I can't talk to you, I can't. Let go of me first. Dream on. Zhuo Jingxi didn't know where she got the strength from, but she pulled him from behind and flipped him over onto the bed. She flipped over again and sat on top of Qin Guang. What are you doing? Teacher Zhuo. With the moonlight shining in from the window, Qin Guang could vaguely see Zhuo Jingxi's expression, which was even more ferocious than his own. The anger that was burning in his heart just now quickly faded, but the secretion of adrenaline became even stronger. Zhuo Jingxi was sitting on his waist, and the two of them were inevitably rubbing together. When Qin Guang saw her movements again, a certain part of him couldn't stop reacting. Zhuo Jingxi felt something hard under his body, but she didn't flinch at all. Her legs used even more strength to ride him. Nothing. You shut up. As she spoke, she picked up the silk pajamas from her waist. Less than 2 seconds later, she threw the pajamas to the side of the bed. At this moment, the young and beautiful body was completely exposed under the cold and elegant moonlight. Her snow-white skin reflected the bright light, dazzling Qin Guang's eyes. The beautiful breasts of the tall, plump and round young woman suddenly burst out. What was she trying to do? Aren't you very capable? Aren't you not afraid of killing people? Come on. Come at me. Aren't you a man? Aren't you very manly? Come on. Come at me like a man. Why are you daydreaming? Don't be a coward if you're a man. I can't deal with you today, can I? Are you going crazy? Zhuo Jingxi glared fiercely at Qin Guang. Come on. I'll go crazy with you. Wasn't it just a small setback? Don't you understand that the future is long? Wang Ren could escape for a while, but could he escape for the rest of his life? You're still so young, how could you foolishly think about killing people? Didn't you think about the consequences? Are you going to be able to face your parents and the people who care about you? As she spoke, she grabbed Qin Guang's palm and pressed it against her chest. A mysterious sensation came from his palm. It was plump and delicate. Qin Guang was completely stunned. Chapter 422. Teacher. Teacher Zhuo, don't be like this, don't be like this. Qin Guang understood what Zhuo Jingxi was thinking. She was really afraid that he would kill someone, so she wanted to use her method to calm him down. This method of hers was invincible. It was unstoppable. Alright, he didn't actually want to block it. As long as he was a man, he couldn't block it. This move was too ruthless. Qin Guang's hands weren't tied up. If he exerted force, he could break free, but how could a person fight against the most genuine desire in the depths of his heart? That soft and velvety touch felt so real. In the night sky, her skin was cold yet delicate. Countless goosebumps appeared on his skin, urging the most genuine desire in the depths of his heart. Whether it was his body or his soul, they were all warning him that if he dared to pull his hands away, he would break his own arms. He had been a virgin for almost 21 years. The theoretical knowledge he had learned from the small films could be said to be knowledgeable, but his actual combat experience was basically zero. Every time he woke up in the middle of the night and wet his pants, he would fantasize more than once that one day, he would be able to fight for real. That was every normal man's dream. How could he withstand Zhuo Jingxi's presumptuous and direct assault now? Of course, if it was another person, such as a rouge girl who suddenly rushed out of the street and said, "Brother, 150 for the night," Qin Guang wouldn't really lose his composure. But this was Zhuo Jingxi. She wasn't a random girl he didn't know. She was someone he had known for a long time and knew through and through. He had even secretly peeped at her countless times. He still remembered the first time she walked into the classroom and appeared in front of everyone as the new counselor. The entire class of boys who had been making a ruckus just a second ago were shocked into silence by her appearance. Her maturity and beauty, her voluptuous and tall figure, every unintentional movement of hers could unconsciously tug at the heartstrings in the boys' hearts. Moreover, the self-proclaimed unparalleled Lord Guang was actually a blank piece of paper when it came to the matters between men and women. Zhuo Jingxi was about to ruthlessly draw a thick and heavy stroke on this blank piece of paper. I've said it before. Don't call me Teacher Zhuo. Call me Jingxi. I'm not qualified to be your teacher because I like you. Zhuo Jingxi felt that she had never been so brave in her life. Are you looking down on me? Are there too many charming girls around you? I know that I'm not as cute as Sun Xiaoxuan, I'm not as heroic as Wu Tong, and I'm not as outstanding as Lu Fei, who can help you a lot. I'm even less qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as Jin Shiyue. I'm just a terrible woman who always brings you trouble. I'm just that bad and I'm just that unremarkable. I'm even your teacher. I shouldn't have any extravagant hopes for you, but I have no choice. I don't know why, but I really like you. You think I didn't notice you peeking at my chest that day in my office? Actually, I knew everything. I just wanted to show it to you. Do you think I'm terrible right now? Do you think there's such a shameless woman in this world? But it doesn't matter, I don't care at all. At least for now, I don't want you to leave this bedroom. She really said a lot in one breath, and every word struck Qin Guang's heart. Her hands were so forceful that even Qin Guang was worried about hurting her. No, I didn't think that way. I don't understand the situation right now. Why don't you let me take a shower and calm down first? Qin Guang said with a trembling voice. He still wanted to escape. This was his last struggle. If I let you escape now, will you still come back? I'm not a child anymore. I understand these things. Don't think that I'm being impulsive. I've already planned this. Don't worry, I won't regret it. But no buts. This time it was Zhuo Jingxi's turn to be angry. Didn't you say arrogantly that you wanted to provide for me? You're scared at the last moment? Isn't what I'm doing now part of my job as a mistress? That's just a lie to trick your parents, Qin Guang argued. Zhuo Jingxi smiled. But they believe it and so do I. Whether you believe it or not, we all believe it anyway. Come on, today is the right time. From tonight onwards you'll be a man and I'll be a real woman. As she spoke, she reached down and pinched the top of Qin Guang's pants. She continued to pull it down and pinched it hard. I want to see how long you can hold on. Don't grit your teeth and hold on. Aren't you full of energy? Aren't you so emotional that you want to kill someone? Come on, use your murderous courage on me. You're not even afraid of killing someone, so why are you afraid of a woman like me? Qin Guang really admitted defeat. If he had known that after losing control of his emotions in front of Zhuo Jingxi tonight, she would have developed such determination and become like this, He would definitely not be so stupid as to say the true thoughts deep in his heart in front of her. He would have chosen to quietly get up and run away, then wring Wang Ren's neck. Dear teacher Zhuo, you're my teacher. It's because I respect my teacher that I want to vent my jealousy in front of you. That's because I respect my teacher, but I really didn't expect you to calm me down like this. I regret it so much. But there's no medicine for regret. In the face of Zhuo Jingxi's wave after wave of attacks, he couldn't resist. He was not a saint at all. He was Wu Tong and Tang Ying's perverted younger brother, a perverted boy who would look into Zhuo Jingxi's collar whenever he got the chance. He was a perverted classmate who would be so excited about a bet with Wen that he couldn't sleep for days. He was a perverted brother who would regret letting Lu Fei go in Xiangjiang time and time again. He was a perverted savior who would complain about Jiang Yage's teasing in his heart while putting his hand into her collar to take a Patek Philippe from her. It wasn't that the National Army wasn't interested, but that the Communist Army wasn't strong enough. Alright, Zhuo Jingxi was strong enough today. Something big happened. Feeling his pants being ripped off and thrown off the bed, Qin Guang silently turned his face to the side. This is so King embarrassing. I can easily flip over and throw her off the bed, but every inch of my bones and muscles is singing in excitement. His adrenaline, which had never stopped, once again exploded. Teacher Zhuo, do you really have to call me teacher? Do you like it? Well, today I'll give you the most important lesson in your life, my perverted student. As Zhuo Jingxi spoke, she threw away the last triangular restraint on her body and grabbed his hand. Oh my God. Oh my God. I swear I'll never let any woman see the old man's weak side in the future. Qin Guang silently shed 2 lines of tears. He never thought that the old man's reputation would be destroyed in a moment like this. At first he resisted, lost and confused. She was in pain, but she took the initiative, but she was also reserved. When it really happened, she also felt that it was unbelievable, but she didn't feel the slightest bit of regret or fear in her heart. Later, his eyes turned red, and he used all his strength to transform into a huge wave on the coast, wave after wave crashing against the stone crevices on the shore. He didn't want it to be like this, but not everything and every emotion could be controlled. Just as Zhuo Jingxi hoped, he turned the resentment and unwillingness he had hidden in his heart these days into external emotions and released them ruthlessly. Qin Guang clearly went from passive to active, and his attacks became fiercer and fiercer, but Zhuo Jingxi's pain gradually disappeared. Under the impact of the waves day after day, year after year, her will melted like snow and melted into a river of spring water. She no longer thought about what the two of them would be like in the future, and she no longer thought about all the possible or real competitors. Fragments of such thoughts occasionally appeared in her mind. Why do I think so much? Anyway, I'm also a kept woman, right? Anyway, that's what Mom and Dad both hoped for, right? Very soon, her thoughts would be shattered by round after round of impact, and she might as well not think about anything else. After a long time, the clouds dispersed, and the thin blanket had long been kicked to the ground. Zhuo Jingxi lay on the bed weakly, hugging Qin Guang's neck. Her breathing was still heavy, her face was flushed, and her sweat soaked the bedsheets. Are you tired? If you're tired, let's sleep? Qin Guang said gently. You really don't mean what you say. You say you want me to sleep, but your hands aren't honest at all. Zhuo Jingxi grabbed Qin Guang's hand that was on her chest. Qin Guang's face turned red. You can't blame me for this. This is Vander Wu's power, I can't control it at all. Is that so? You're using Vander Wu's power? Then, please let my photocatalyst purify the dirty pollutants in your body again. After a short rest with her tired body, Zhuo Jingxi felt that he had recovered, and she actually turned around and mounted him again. Why don't you rest? You're already very tired. Qin Guang exclaimed. Zhuo Jingxi smiled charmingly. You're wrong. Women don't get tired when it comes to this kind of thing. I'm going to purify you completely. Let's see if you still dare to have murderous thoughts in your head. Come on. Don't you want to kill someone? Come and stab me to death. F***ck. This time, not only was Qin Guang blind, but he was also deaf. Is this still the Zhuo Jingxi I know? No matter how I looked at it, I didn't see such a dirty soul in the righteous teacher Zhuo's head. Actually, Qin Guang also knew that Zhuo Jingxi really planned to exhaust all his energy tonight, so that he would no longer have the mood and fighting spirit to kill Wang Ren. She was doing this for his own good. But could he say thank you for this kind of thing? Of course not. Although I have low EQ, I understand that there's no reason to say thank you to a woman for this kind of thing. It was impossible to say that he wasn't touched. But Qin Guang also knew that if Zhuo Jingxi didn't really like him as she said, no matter how big of a reason she had, she wouldn't have done this kind of thing. The small pool of blood that dotted the bedsheet, and Zhuo Jingxi's unfamiliarity, like an 80-year-old old man who opened League of Legends for the first time, proved that this was also her first time. Please call me Emperor Kai Huang. I really owe him too much. How can this old man be worthy of this? I can't say that. Since things have already come to this, I can only bite the bullet and admit it. Great Lord, please believe me. I Qingguang am really an upright person. As he muttered in his heart, he flipped his body over like a surf, his claws reaching for the bedside table. He had made perhaps the best and worst decision of his life. After tossing and turning for an hour, the old man was a little thirsty, so he drank some water to calm his nerves. Then he grabbed the heavenly Holy Grail. Chapter 423. On average, humans drank 1.5 liters of water a day, which was about 38.5 tons of water in their lifetime. Qingguang was a person who liked to drink water because he exercised a lot. Drinking water was such a common thing, but he had done it in a different way. 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 Of course, sometimes what awaited him could be a pit. Up to this day, there had been a lot of trouble because he was unprepared when drinking water. For example, the inexplicable pencil sharpening realm, and the even more inexplicable brass fireworks Qilin arm. But there had never been a time when he felt the feeling of his soul leaving his body, and his heart was so flustered. My good sister, my seventh uncle, my eighth aunt, I was just thirsty and wanted to drink a glass of water, but I really didn't expect it to be like this. Who would take precautions when they wanted to drink water, and who would care about what they were doing? As long as they didn't drink water while squatting, wouldn't it be fine if they didn't become the king of anal prolapse? Normal people wouldn't squat and drink water at the same time, okay? Then the problem was drinking water while doing something shameful with someone, and then entering the cup world. What kind of situation would he face? Qingguang wasn't worried about this matter in the past. After all, he was an old virgin, a great magic guide, and a single dog that was tortured by those lovey-dovey scum every day. He didn't even have the slightest shyness, so who would be so bored as to worry about entering the world of cups at the right time? At least before today, before it really happened, he absolutely didn't think of it. He did occasionally imagine that one day, as handsome and domineering as he was, sooner or later, he would also get rid of the shameful ranks of the sorcerers, and become a winner in life who no longer needed a small piece of cake and waved goodbye to the 5 girls. After all, with the old man's handsomeness and cheekiness, he couldn't be a bachelor all his life. Sooner or later he would become a master. The person who spent the first night with him must be an earth-shattering beauty. She must have a pair of big watery eyes, and a waist that was more flexible and graceful than a water snake. Her chest couldn't be too small, and she couldn't be too thin because there was no meat. She also couldn't be too fat because there was no fat. She also had a good personality. She had to be able to go to the main hall and the kitchen. She gave me enough face outside, and at home she was able to get along well with me. Most importantly, she had to be a woman. Well, actually, it was fine as long as she was a girl. Today, the day of his dreams had suddenly arrived. Although it was sudden and he was caught off guard, he was still satisfied. Without Zhuo Jingxi, she wouldn't have met Wang Ren, Zhuo Jingxi wouldn't have fallen in love with Qingguang, and Wang Ren wouldn't have hated Qingguang. Without these reasons, when Qingguang was feeling down today, Zhuo Jingxi wouldn't have taken the initiative to drag Qingguang's distress into her heart and made up her mind to calm Qingguang's overly excited and angry mood today. Everything was perfect until he took a sip of the water. Yo, young man, you're living a comfortable life, huh? Liuli was still sitting in front of her computer. She didn't even raise her head, but there was an unmistakable sense of mockery in her tone. Qingguang looked at Liuli from afar and didn't dare to approach her. He should have a clear conscience, but he always felt that her words were sinister and meaningful. My soul is standing at the top of this white and flawless sea of clouds, but my body is doing such a shameful thing outside. This feeling is too strange. Let me enter the world in the cup at another time. Can we discuss this properly? Of course not. The Holy Grail never reasoned with him. At this moment, as far as Qingguang could see, there were 3 magnificent and majestic statues of gods, a pencil that pierced the clouds, a white piano that was more than 100 meters long and wide, and a half alto that seemed to have gone through the vicissitudes of life and was filled with the aura of history. White threads that blotted out the sky spread out from the endless void and wrapped around the 3 statues like nebula chains. From the tip of the pencil, the leftmost key of the piano, and the left headlight of the alto, 3 thick streams of pure white aura were suddenly pulled out and shot into the clouds. They gathered in the sky above the sea of clouds and turned into a beam of strong light that fell from the sky, shining directly on Liuli's computer. This woman was still naked. She had been busy a while ago and she seemed to have some idea of what she was going to do, but was she addicted to not wearing clothes? There were clearly 3 statues here, and the power of faith that they provided should be enough to make some clothes, but she actually threw it all on the computer. But then again she said that I'm living a comfortable life? Could it be that she was watching me from the beginning to the end? Damn, so shameful. Liuli rolled her eyes at him. Can you just let your imagination run wild like this? This empress has so many things to deal with every day, how would I have the time to care about this trivial matter between mortals? She was really thick-skinned, Chen Guang thought in his heart. Do you know what position you, little brat, have in my heart? Again, this emperor is really tall. Your head is too small. Look at this 3-inch piece of meat. I really can't arouse the slightest bit of interest in you. You don't even have the size to communicate with me. Save your breath. He didn't know if it was because Liuli had watched too many violent manga recently, but her words were more and more venomous and presumptuous. The time to be dragged into the next level of the world in the cup was getting closer and closer. Chen Guang didn't have the mood to dawdle with her anymore, so he moved a little closer. My dearest Liuli, can you tell me a little bit about what the world in the cup is? To be honest, I'm really panicking right now. Liuli finally raised her hand and made a pushing gesture. You damn pervert, stay away from me, don't dirty this empress's eyes. Please lower your head a little and have a little bit of shame, okay? Are you pointing a gun at this lady to scare people? Chen Guang lowered his head. F***ck, after all this time, not only was Liuli not wearing clothes, I actually wasn't wearing anything either. At least she still had some clouds to cover her embarrassment. My F***king indomitable spirit halberd was going to eat people, oh no, eat gods. I'll give you 3 seconds to turn around quickly, or else you'll have to wait to say goodbye to your little penis. This empress is really busy right now, I don't have time to deal with you. Just as she finished speaking, a roar came from the computer's sound system. Holy shit. A super godly massacre? Wasn't it rather busy? Can we not joke around? Can you be a little more considerate of me? I'm really nervous right now. The heavenly holy grail is too reckless. How can it let me enter the world in the cup at this time? I'm not F***king convinced. Liuli chuckled. Do you really want to know what it is? Really? Alright then, I'll tell you. What is it? Guess you're F***king? Before Chen Guang could finish his words, he was sucked into the test world of the world in the cup with a whoosh. When Chen Guang disappeared, Liuli, who had been sitting in front of the computer, suddenly had a gloomy expression. She gritted her teeth and didn't say anything, only slapping her own computer table. Bang. Ah, my computer. My super godly. My lustrous feather robe. Gone again. It was still that familiar time-space tunnel. Chen Guang kept flying forward with his head pointed. He really wished that this tunnel was a little longer, then he would have more time to think about life. If it's really what I'm most worried about, how should I face the rest of my life? I'm clearly determined to be an upright gentleman, why do I have to face such a dismal fate? I resisted the temptation again and again in the journey of life, whether it was a 150 renminbi overnight booking, a 400 renminbi fast food, a 1,500 renminbi business, or even an 8,000 renminbi entertainment. Even if I had more than 100 million in cash in my pocket, I never had any crooked thoughts. My purity moved the heavens and the earth. A man like me could make Liu Xiaohui feel ashamed of his inferiority in ancient times. It was only today that I fell for Teacher Zhuo's sneak attack for the first time. I haven't even tasted the sweetness of it, yet you, heavenly holy grail, want me to plunge into such a dirty and shameful cup world? It can't be, right? This is really the old man's first time. You still need to have a little bit of integrity, right? If you have something to say, then we can still be friends, right? Damn. Yeah, a mother ***. You're playing for real. When Chen Guang really appeared in this new model that couldn't be described, couldn't be looked at directly, and couldn't be divulged in the cup, I just wanted to sing a song. The boundless horizon is my love. Flowers bloom at the foot of the continuous green mountains. Covering my face, covering my eyes, I can't see the vast expanse of whiteness between the sky and the earth. I can't see the countless plains at the end of the mountains and the sea. Cup, can't you at least give me a real person? Do you really want to do this, heavenly holy grail? There are so many of them I can't even count them all, and they're even clearly marked with impact strength from 1 to 99999. What are you trying to do? Besides, there's too many of them. 99999. Yes, I didn't see it wrong, it really is a 5-digit number. Can I get out of here alive? Qin Guang used to think that after obtaining the heavenly Holy Grail, he would definitely embark on the path of being the master of all living things, a domineering, cool, and nature-defying path that could change the world at any moment. Now, the heavenly Holy Grail was getting more and more powerful, and he had also mastered more and more cool skills. But he never expected that he would suddenly have a dream in the middle of the night and be dragged into the ditch by the heavenly Holy Grail again. This ditch was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen. I've been really honest recently, why do you have to treat me like this? Do you really have to do this? I don't seem to have a choice, right? Bang. When a certain cup marked with impact strength 99,999 exploded, the emotionless electronic voice of the heavenly Holy Grail came from the sky. Pass, mission completed, the Redeemer has become the strongest pile driver in history. When thinking of specific adjectives, the omnipotent heavenly Holy Grail was stuck for a moment. Qin Guang's tears raised the surface of the lake within a radius of several hundred feet by a few meters. That's right, these were really tears and nothing else. After all, this was the world within a cup. Mercifully, he was only given a gun and not a bullet. Otherwise, he would have died 9,999 times. I don't want this title, I don't want to become the strongest pile driver in history. Chapter 424. He wailed in his heart. Although my body has been tainted, my soul is still upright. The heavenly Holy Grail did not waste any more words with him and sent him back to the sea of clouds in the next instant. After this farewell, when he saw Liuli again, it felt like a lifetime had passed. Qin Guang fell to the ground with a plop and did not want to move. Madame Liuli, my life has been ruined. Liuli, who was painstakingly rebuilding the computer, glared at him. No, your life has just begun. Qin Guang's face turned pale. Is that so? Is this my new life? Am I going to embark on the endless road of a pile driver in the future? Don't. Liuli shook her head again. It's nothing. You'll understand when you get out. Good luck. As soon as she finished speaking, Qin Guang exited the world in the cup. He was still holding the cup in his hand and had not even swallowed the water in his mouth when he felt an indescribable stimulation in his lower body. Unconsciously, it started vibrating at an extremely high frequency. It was no joke, the frequency of the vibration seemed to be 3 times higher than the Qilin armed Zhuo Jingxi, who was lying on the bed with her back facing him, screamed and fell forward. In an instant there was no sound. *CK. Qin Guang thought of the cup that he had exploded in the world in the cup and his heart skipped a beat. Something big had happened. He immediately covered his mouth with his hand to prevent himself from screaming out loud. No. Curry. Wash the motor. GG Sumida. Someone was going to die. He hurriedly lay down to see what was going on and murmured, Sister Jingxi. His heartbeat was also ridiculously fast. Of course there was no problem with breathing. He pried open her legs and examined them carefully. Fortunately, there was no explosion or blood. It was the normal kind. In short, there was no problem. He could not say more. Qin Guang heaved a long sigh of relief. Thank God, she fell forward too quickly and the kinetic energy had not accumulated to a terrifying level. The temperature did not rise either. It seemed that she was not injured. But why was she foaming at the mouth? He tried to shake her for a minute or two, but there was no movement. Zhuo Jingxi showed no signs of waking up at all. When he opened her eyes, it was all white. It was extremely frightening. Qin Guang straightened his body, his face full of confusion. What the *CK should he do? Who can tell me what to do? Has anyone encountered such a situation before? It was completely impossible. He lowered his head and looked at the spot on the bed that he was facing when he laid down. Damn it, why is there a hole as big as my dick? I didn't even feel it. I was only lying there for 10 seconds. What the hell is this hole? This was the Bai mattress that was famous for its quality. Lowering his head, Qin Guang looked at the thief, who was gradually scared out of his wits, and understood what Luli meant by wishing him luck. Has the old man become a human weapon? Although he knew that the products from the world in a cup would definitely be of the highest quality, but now that he had turned it into a diamond and turned it into the strongest pile driver in the world, it was too strong. Zhuo Jingxi did not wake up and Qin Guang's heart was in his throat. He was completely unprepared for this. Forget it, he had to hurry and send her to the hospital. He quickly got up and put on his clothes, then wrapped Zhuo Jingxi up and carried her on his back ready to go out. When he opened the bedroom door, a limp body suddenly slumped on the floor. Ah! Before Qin Guang could say anything, the person who fell in first cried out in shock. Qin Guang's face darkened. Lingshan, what are you doing? Fan Lingshan's face immediately turned as red as a ripe apple. No, nothing, I was just passing by. Passing by? I almost believed you. Forget it, I won't talk to you anymore. Stay at home and stay. I'll send Sister Jingxi to the hospital. Fan Lingshan exclaimed, oh my god. Brother, you're so fierce? Aren't you just passing by? Kids shouldn't care about adults' matters. I'm leaving. Qin Guang did not want to waste time with Fan Lingshan at this time, so he carried Zhuo Jingxi downstairs in a flash. Kids nowadays were really not reserved at all. They could even do something like eavesdropping? Qin Guang had forgotten that he was actually only in his 3rd year and about to enter his 4th year. He was only 2 years ahead of Fan Lingshan. Fortunately, although Zhuo Jingxi still did not wake up after going downstairs, her heartbeat and breathing had gradually calmed down. She was only sleeping like a drunkard. Although Qin Guang did not know medicine, seeing that her condition was gradually stabilizing, he felt a little more at ease. That incident just now had really scared him out of his wits. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have studied medicine. As the owner of the Holy Grail, a man shrouded in the halo of a protagonist, it was not too much to ask that I know medicine, right? At least give me a needle and some random inner force and I'll just poke it into a person's body. Duong, wouldn't that be enough? Alright, this was actually too much. It was not that the Holy Grail was incompetent, but that its level was too low. At least there was no hope of seeing the spirit. Driving the phaeton on the road, he thought to himself, where is the nearest big hospital? Whatever, I can't go to Wujing City Hospital. He kept reminding himself. I can't go to the city hospital. That place is poisonous. I definitely can't go. *CKme. Why did I still drive here? Looking at the huge signboard of Wujing City Hospital shining brightly under the night lights, Qin Guang slapped himself. I clearly wanted to not come here, but unknowingly, I still feel that this is the closest and most reliable place. Forget it, since I'm already here, I can't just coincidentally bump into Sister Tanging every time, right? The current situation was definitely extremely awkward. Qin Guang stopped the car and jogged all the way to the emergency hall with Zhuo Jingxi on his back. As soon as he entered the door, he realized that he was fighting in the wilderness. What he was afraid of really happened. Tang Ying, dressed in casual clothes, walked over. She seemed to have just gotten off work as well. She looked up and saw Qin Guang rushing in with Zhuo Jingxi on his back. Qin Guang? What are you doing here in the middle of the night? Tang Ying walked quickly and came closer to take a look. Who is this? What's wrong? Qin Guang ignored her and continued to rush in. Nothing, it's just a small problem, Small problem? Tang Ying was in disbelief. No matter how fast Qin Guang walked, she ran as fast as he did. She looked at the side of the unconscious Zhuo Jingxi's face. Tang Ying pondered. This was a very beautiful girl, probably about the same age as her. There seemed to be a strange blush on her face. Although she was being carried on Qin Guang's back, she could see that her figure was very good. She was tall and voluptuous. There's something fishy about these two. Tang Ying rolled her eyes and looked at Qin Guang, who was running away in a panic. She snorted inwardly. Your acting is terrible. It's already so late and the situation seems urgent. Let me help you. Tang Ying followed Qin Guang into the emergency clinic. Qin Guang wanted to reject her at first, but when he entered the clinic, he found that there were 3 male doctors sitting in the emergency room. He was at his wit's end. As the Buddha said, if I don't go to hell, who will? Half an hour later, Zhuo Jingxi was settled and slowly regained consciousness. Before Qin Guang could enter the ward to ask what was going on, Tang Ying put down what she was doing and came out to stop him. She looked at Qin Guang with a playful expression. Young man, you're living a good life. Qin Guang's mouth twitched. That sounded familiar. No, there's nothing good. What's wrong with her? She suddenly fainted for no reason. Let me go in and see what's going on? Qin Guang lied through his teeth. Tang Ying first took a deep breath, then suddenly stepped on Qin Guang's foot. Ow! It was the middle of the night and they were in the inpatient department. Qin Guang endured the pain and did not dare to scream. His lungs were about to explode. Tang Ying was not satisfied after stepping on his foot. She reached out and poked his forehead with her finger again and again. You're pretending. Continue pretending. What do you mean by suddenly fainting for no reason? The person standing in front of you is Tang Ying. She's the most advanced individual in Wujing City's hospital this month. She's the miracle doctor who won an average of 1 silk banner every month, Tang Ying. You think you can hide it from me? Qin Guang hung his head dejectedly. I can't hide it anymore. Big sister, can you just tell me what's going on? I'm really worried. Now you're worried? Didn't you faint for no reason just like me? Why don't you give me another one for no reason? Tang Ying's finger kept poking his forehead without stopping. Qin Guang was depressed. He did not know why, but after being lectured by Tang Ying, he could not muster up his courage. After venting her anger, Tang Ying finally calmed down and resumed the appearance of a doctor. All right, I'll tell you. The patient's condition is due to an overly intense stimulation in an extremely short period of time, causing the excessive secretion of hormones, which further leads to the impact of consciousness. The body, in order to protect itself, cut off its thoughts in a short period of time, which is the phenomenon of fainting that you saw. To put it bluntly, he was overly excited when he was having sex. There won't be any sequelae, right? Is there any physical injury? Qin Guang asked as he shrank his neck. Tang Ying rolled her eyes at him. I was almost injured. All right, stop quibbling. I know it's you who did it. Let's not talk about anything else. Don't you think you're too inconsiderate of the fairer sex? She was just having a melon today. Can't you be a little more restrained? I used to think that you were a good person, but today I realized that I was really blind. Qin Guang panicked. What do you mean by that? Nothing. Haven't you been busy making life difficult for Wang Ren and Su Lijing? To think that I was worried about you when I saw you getting beaten up like that a few days ago. In the end, Tell me, what's your relationship with the patient? Tell me clearly. Tang Ying said with her hands on her hips. Actually, she was in no position to ask Qin Guang about this matter. So, the moment the words left her mouth, she also realized that something was wrong. Wu Tong, let me watch you. Tell me the truth and I'll be lenient. Resistance will be severe. Qin Guang sighed. It's a long story. It's hard to explain in a few words. If it's hard to explain in a few words, then say it in 10,000 words. Anyway, if you don't tell me clearly today, I won't let you go, Tang Ying said. Seeing that he could not avoid it, Qin Guang told Tang Ying everything that had happened in the past few days, from when he left the hospital to when Su Lijing finally made his move yesterday. He told Tang Ying everything that had happened. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.